we are beginning the streaming. Feel free to share.
Right, let me find it then. Let me go to bring that over there. Out the way.
And guess what? We are live. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, boys and girls. Today, here in Mexico City, Friday, May the 14th of 2021. And well, I'm very, very excited because we have today a very special guest. I guess that you are used to hear her voice in the FIVB streamings for volleyball, for beach volleyball. He also does another sports. He will tell us about that. But it's a pleasure for me to receive from New Forest in Southampton in the United Kingdom, to Mr. Clayton Lucas. How are you, Clayton? Nice to meet you.
I'm fine. Thank you very much for having me. It's lovely to meet you as well. I must say, as with most things like this, I'm a little bit nervous, but also a little bit excited as well.
How can you be nervous? You speak almost every week to a million of people around the world.
I think it's like all things. Actually, it's funny because like you and I are having a chat now, and that's great. And yeah, I'll probably feel fine. We get going, and things will be okay. And it's the same when I'm commentating. Sometimes I might just be in a room on my own, and I'm watching a screen, and I don't even think about how many other people might be watching and what's going on. And so. And I don't do a great deal of public speaking. I mean, I have in a previous life in my other job, I had to give presentations, but they were to small groups. So, it's one of those things that I think if I thought about the fact that there might be a lot of people watching, and I know in some games like the Olympic final, for example, there've been millions of people watching. I wouldn't want to think about that because it might put me off what I've got to say.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, we will talk about that. You have been a commentator for a long time, as I said, not just for volleyball and beach volleyball, for another sports. You have been also a coach of volleyball and beach volleyball, right, in England, and a lot of things. And well, I'm really, really honored that you accepted the invitation to join these Volley Talks here today in the episode 155, Clayton.
I can't believe it. I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured that you've asked me to come along and have a chat. So whatever you want to talk about, and let's go. I'm happy to chat about pretty much anything volleyball related, as well as some of the other sports I've done. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that this will be a very, very interesting talk. Please tell us something about your backdrop, your banners behind you of volleyball.
Yes. So with all the commentary I've done, when I've gone on site and done commentary, generally there's a lot of posters get put up and get put around. And this one is actually from, I'll just show you that this is from the World League in 2014. And it's
in Florence, right?
This one was in Brazil. This particular poster was in Brazil, and then the beach volleyball one is from Vitoria in 2016. But those two were in the hotel, in the lobby. And so at the end of the tournament, and everyone's leaving, and I said, "Can I have those?" And, yeah, of course you can. So I've got them, and generally I have got an awful lot of posters that I've picked up over the years. And in fact, in my hallway, most people have photos of their kids and other things. I've got a hallway lined of posters of volleyball events and player signatures. So I've got my own kind of Hall of Fame as you walk in. I've got the Olympic champions from Brazil. And the German Olympic champions as well. I've got so I've got that little kind of walk of a Hall of Fame as you come in. So it's very, very much volleyball orientated in the house.
Yeah, right. You must say that you like more to collect banners than jerseys, or both. Or...
Yeah, I think it's just one of those. I think I've never been one to ask players or anything like that for anything at all. I come along, I do my commentary. Sometimes I have to interview the players. I'll do that, and that's it. I go. So my involvement with the players is I'm not involved with the players. I stay as far away from them as possible and just go and do the job I'm asked to do. So and it does mean that I've been to an awful lot of beach volleyball events. And when you're in there's different colored jerseys you may have seen. There's the green jerseys, the blue jerseys, the light blue jerseys, and a similar one to what you're wearing, an orange jersey. And then there's the yellow jerseys. Now, if you're wearing a yellow jersey on the beach, it means that you're part of the organizing, part of the referees, delegates, the referee supervisor, and the people that are making the tournament run. So, of course, I get to wear one of those. But the number of times, are we okay?
I lost your video. I can hear you. I lost the video.
I see that my video's gone. Click if I wish to. Let's do that again. Sorry about that. I didn't touch anything, honestly.
Oh, you're back.
So, yeah, so I'm back. So you get to wear a yellow jersey. Now I would travel to all these events around the world with my yellow jersey on, and the number of times players have come up to me, excuse me, when's this next match happening? And why haven't I got this? And why is that not going on? And I'm like, I don't know.
I'm not part of the organizing committee. I'm just a commentator.
Exactly. So I do. I think I'm very much a case, as you say, before we went on air, people will recognize my voice, but won't put a face to that. And that's the same on the beach tour and also traveling to events indoors as well. That I can walk around, no one knows who I am, and I'm quite happy with that.
Great. Well, we have some messages. GP Duarte de las Casas said the yellow is the best.
Jippy's brilliant. Jippy was part of the organizing committee. She was, I met her in Mexico, I believe. And so she was a former player for Peru and also played NCAA for Texas Longhorns. Yeah, so I've met Jippy on the World Tour, became good friends with her. And we've met subsequently actually around, and that tends to be the thing. I get to meet, I've got a really good family of volleyball friends that I only ever meet around the world. I'm not met here in the UK. And it tends to be the case that you have, volleyball is such a big family that now you can go pretty much anywhere in the world and there's always somebody you know or somebody who knows somebody and so on. It's an amazing sport for that.
Yes, I have said that a lot of times. We are a very, very, very close community in the volleyball, who is 1 or 2 clicks away for the most.
Definitely, you can always put a question out and say, "Oh, I'm going somewhere. Does anybody know anyone, or does anyone know where there's any volleyball?" And you'll always get answers, and always get someone who will tell you, "Yeah, you can go and see so and so. I know somebody," and you can go and meet them. And yeah, you can easily make yourself very much at home very quickly when you travel abroad.
Well, you mentioned the Texas Longhorns. We have a Mexican player, female player playing in Texas. She was a runner-up 1 month ago in NCAA Division I. Mexican player Melanie Parra. He was also a world championship player in Japan 2018.
It's amazing, isn't it? And volleyball, as you say, it's global, and the opportunities as well now for young players to go and ply their trade, to go and play collegiate volleyball in the USA, in Canada, and then to come away from there and have access to go and play professionally. And also the professional market opening up around the world. It means there's so many opportunities for players.
Yeah, right, of course. My very good friend, Fabian Concia from Mendoza, Argentina, he was here in the show on Tuesday, and he says, "Hello, Alex and Lucas. I'm ready to enjoy your talk." Thanks a lot, Fabian.
Brilliant. Yes. Hello, Fabian. It's nice to hear from you. Hopefully we'll catch up soon, somewhere around the world when things get back to normal. Oh, I've got a visitor. I think I've got a rogue visitor. Oh. So
was that a cat?
One of 3 cats who shouldn't be in here. I shall just remove her now. Go on, you. Go on, That's the thing with cats. If you've got cats, and people who've got cats who are watching this, you know that whatever you're doing, once you want to do something and you need to be on your own or you're busy, they will appear and they will make sure that they try and get in the way of what's going on.
So, well, you are saying that you have to visit Fabian Concia in Mendoza, or you want to visit Fabian Concia?
Oh, I'd love to, but the chances are I'll probably see Fabian somewhere in the world when he's refereeing. I'm not sure if, what his next assignment might be, whether it will be the Volleyball Nations League or maybe even the Olympic Games or whatever it might be. But hopefully I'll get to catch up with him somewhere in the world.
Well, Fabian Concia told me on Tuesday that Hernan Casamiquela, the another Argentinian referee, is going to VNL and Olympics.
Okay, yes, I know him as well. He's he's a great character. He just he's got that look about him. You just don't want to mess with him at all. And that's cool. I'd be cool to say hello to him.
Great. And Fabián Concia says you are welcome. Yeah. Gracias, Fabián. Saludos hasta Mendoza. So, okay, Clayton, again, thanks for being here. And I wanna start with asking you about, did you play volleyball when you were young? It was your first choice of a sport. Did you practice another sport? Did you play volleyball? And what can you tell us about that beginning?
Okay, well, I did play volleyball. That's something I did, but I didn't play it at school. I didn't know about volleyball at school.
Volleyball in England, it's a very, very small sport, I think.
Exactly. It's very small. The main sports when you go to school here in England are rugby, cricket, football, and netball for the girls. But that was when I went to school. Things have changed now, and there's a lot more options to play different sports, and volleyball certainly is on the rise, and there's more volleyball going on in schools than never has been. But I didn't pick it up until I went to college. In fact, I was doing a sports course, and it was part of my course to play volleyball, and we had these very horrible plastic rock hard volleyballs that when you dug them really did sting.
Here in Mexico was the same, yeah, for sure.
I don't like this, and so but I kind of stuck with it, and that was when I was 16 when I started playing, but I broke my arm actually in the first year of playing. I didn't do it playing volleyball. I was doing something else. I broke my arm, so I missed a whole year. So I did actually picked it up again when I was 17, and playing at college. The coach was a coach at the YMCA next door, and said, "Come and play for the local league team." So I did, and played there for kind of half a season. We had a Christmas tournament for all the local league teams, and in the middle of a match, I'd gone up, I'd hit a volleyball, I'd put the spike away, and I'd done a few of those, and we were beating this other team. And halfway through the match, the player looked at me through the net and he said, "Hello, my name's Norris. I think you should really come and play for our team called Priory." And I looked at him and was like, okay, because they had a team that was in a regional level team. So that was my next introduction to volleyball. Went there. I was playing as a middle blocker, and I had no clue what I was doing. I was being pushed around the court. Stand here, now get ready. If they come and try and hit, you block here. And I didn't know rotations. I didn't know anything. And that that happened. So I did that for a year. I got to know what I was doing. And from there, at the age of 18, I was then went up to play for a club in Bristol, my hometown being Weston-super-Mare on the coast. And I went to Bristol and played for a club called Speedwell, their second team. And their first team were very successful in that period of volleyball in the sort of late 80s, early 90s. And they were kind of on their way down, but still a top division team in the country, and with a lot of England players playing. And I was then asked to go and train with the first team, which I did. And from there, I actually ended up going to an England trial when I think I was 18 and a half, getting on for 19. I'd only been playing a couple of years. I didn't really have any bad habits. I was a natural athlete. I could jump high, and I was really lucky that I went. Sort of my formative years of volleyball were with the national team setup, and I was given a really good experience of good fundamentals, good understanding of the game, and it, I didn't know any different. So to me, that was what volleyball was. If that makes sense. I was only used to that sort of, this is what you're doing, and I still wasn't quite sure. But then I got put into an environment where things were going quite fast, but because I wasn't, it was no different to me. It was okay. This is how it's played. This is what you do. And I stayed in the national team then from 19 through to about 30, 28, 29, 30. I think was the last when I retired.
Wow. Just indoor, or have you tried beach?
It was all back then. I guess, and for a lot, for the rest of the world, really, volleyball was mostly indoor, and then the players would have their career indoor and then go and play on the beach for the most part. And that was the same here in the UK. So whilst we were playing indoor volleyball, the season would end, and then we'd all go and play on the beach and there was a domestic tour here. There still is a very successful one. So I played on that. and played beach volleyball. I did get to represent England a couple of times playing abroad, but I didn't go and play on any world tour events as such. Although my wife did. She actually played. She was Vanessa played, went to a world championships, and she did play on the world tour on the beach, as well as representing England and Great Britain indoors as a player.
So you met your wife in the volleyball?
I did. It was we have a, I guess it's probably the top tournament here in the country, and still is really. Weymouth Beach Volleyball event is the kind of the crown jewel in the beach tour, and has been for many years. And I'm sure she won't mind me telling you this, and most people know me and Vanessa how we met. It was a Sunday morning of the volleyball event. I'm in the players' tent with my partner at the time, a guy called Joel Banks, who's now coaching professionally abroad. And I'm stood next to him. Vanessa came through the tent, into the tent, and it was that kind of like moment of like, oh my goodness, who is that? She walked right up to me. I thought, she's going to talk to me. And she went and spoke to Joel. And then said, hey, Joel, how's it going? How's Nigel? Because her younger brother was a friend of Joel, and completely ignored me like I wasn't there, and walked off. Oh, sorry, I left my phone on. So I then said, Joel, who's that? Who's that? Oh, that's Nigel's sister. It's Vanessa. And it was from there. So that was 1991. I know that because it was the day after her 21st birthday celebrations, I think.
30 years ago, exactly.
Yes.
So it was like a movie moment, or what?
It was for me. It was one of those moments. It was just like, it was like a lightning bolt for me. It was like, oh, and that was it. Just completely hook, line, sinker. And I knew straight away. So and back then there was no mobile phone, so none of this would have happened. The phones going off when they shouldn't. So I had to find a friend, get a phone number, and then ring the landline, organize to try and go out, and we did all of that. And yeah, I guess so. Yeah, about early 1992, we kind of started going out, and yeah, we've been together ever since.
Wow, great! Congratulations, Clayton.
Thank you.
Hey, if the phone is ringing for Ari Grassa, please answer.
Oh, I don't expect it to be Dr. Ari Grassa. I'm sure it's probably something quite random. Yes, it was something quite random. Oh, okay. Yes, it's fine. Sorry.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
So I met Nessie, and then so that was my volleyball career. And then when I finished playing volleyball, I got involved in coaching. And one of the reasons why actually was when I was playing for Great Britain, the coach that came over, a guy called Ralph Hippolyte, came over. He was the first professional coach to come to the UK, and he was very clear right from the beginning. He said, we haven't got the resources, and my contract isn't long enough that we're going to be able to turn you guys into world beaters. This is more about trying to create something that you can pass on and try and help to develop volleyball in the UK to become better overall. So what I'm giving you are the tools to be able to pass on to create future generations of volleyball players. And I really took that to heart, and I learned as much as I could while I was playing. And for me, it was always about putting back, because I was fortunate enough to travel the world to play. I never had to pay to play. I was playing for a volleyball club in London called Mizuno Mallory. So by that, we had lots of Mizuno gear. It was brilliant. And for my playing career, it never cost me a penny. It cost me a lot in commitment. I was training 4 nights a week. I was playing volleyball at weekends. There was no social life. It was work, volleyball, training, and matches. And that was the commitment I had. But fortunately, with Vanessa, her commitment was the same, both living in London and able to understand all of that. So for me, it was all about, as I say, putting back. And I did a little bit of coaching, funnily enough, at the American school in London when I was about 23, 24, the varsity team and the junior varsity team, which was a really good sort of learning curve for me about understanding what it's like to be a coach. And I look back now, I look back to what I was like then to where I am now, and it's a world apart from where you are. And I think it's important that you do grow and reflect when you're coaching so that you can become better. But the same message is there from me about putting back and getting teams and players to a really good level where they can enjoy their volleyball and hopefully go on to and be successful at it.
And are you still involved in coaching, right?
Yes, I am actually. I was involved with the England cadet boys as an assistant coach,
Oh, great.
primarily because my sons, I've got three sons. I say they're teenagers, they're not anymore. Theo's, the eldest, is now 21, Ben is 20, and it's only my youngest, Max, who's 18, will be 19 later on this year. But all three played. We were a volleyball family. We didn't force them to, but they all played. And the oldest two went through the ranks and played cadet volleyball and then played junior volleyball. Now, because I was taking them up to the national training camps, and I'd just stand and watch and be a parent and not say anything. But then a friend of mine was the coach, Carol Gordon, a wonderful woman who was the England cadet coach, and was said to me, next time when you come up next week, can you bring your kit and your trainers, and can you help? I said, yeah, of course. And I did. I just became sort of assistant coach, and then when Carol left and Luis Bayo came in, he kept me on. He was happy for me to remain as an assistant coach, and so I did that for about 5 years, all in all. And then the boys kind of went through the program and moved on, and I was then also, they were then wanting to go in different areas and play for different clubs, and so I actually kind of moved away from it for a little bit, and then COVID's come along and everything else, and then I had to apply for the job, which is absolutely fine and absolutely right, they should do. So Volleyball England then said, right, you're gonna have to apply for your job now. And I said, do you know what, with the best will in the world, I think I should step down, because I don't want to deprive somebody else of the opportunity to have this experience, because I cannot guarantee anymore that I can put that commitment in because of the nature of my work. For example, the Volleyball Nations League is coming up. I'm going to be away for a whole month. And then the Olympic Games comes up. It's another month. So that's time that I'm not there, that a coach is missing, that the kids are then not getting the benefit that they need. So I stepped down from being from taking on that role. But saying that, I've then been brought back into, I'm now coaching some beach volleyball, the Wales women's beach volleyball team squad. There's Claire, Els, Poppy, and Alice Cowdy. So we've kind of, it's a bid to try and qualify for the Commonwealth Games. We've got a tournament coming up in September, and this is another one of those sort of instances where it's a case of if we don't do it, it'll never happen. I was chatting with this player, Claire. I've done some coaching in Croatia with Denise Austin, who runs Volleyball Inc., Beach Volleyball Inc., which Inc. means inclusive, not incorporated. And she is an absolute legend of beach volleyball, and someone you should also probably you want to have a chat with if you haven't already.
Yeah, I will love that.
Yeah, definitely. Her daughter Ellie's playing in college volleyball at the moment, beach volleyball, out in the States, and looking to qualify to be the representative for England at the Commonwealth Games. So I was at this camp and got talking with the players and so on, and talking with Claire. It turned out we'd come from the same hometown, and she was sort of saying, "Oh, there wasn't much volleyball there." And I explained, "No, you're right, but there was this, and this." And then it turned out I knew her dad, unbelievably. And anyway, so when we come back, I sort of said, "Oh, look, if you need any help or anything, just always feel free to have a chat." And we were chatting away about some beach volleyball, and obviously news of the Commonwealth Games came up, and she's in Wales. And I said to her, "Have you thought about trying to qualify?" She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, why not? Find a partner. If you're eligible to represent Wales and you can find a partner, then do it." I said, "Well, we haven't got a coach." I said, "Well, look, if you can find a partner and you're going to commit to it, I'll coach." And so that was kind of it. She came back and said, "I found a partner." I said, "Right, okay, I'll coach." And we've been actually trying to get this off the ground, and it's been really, really, really good. There's a board now for Volleyball Wales with more members on it, and Kate Faulkner's doing an excellent job as chair, and really bringing volleyball up and bringing it into the mainstream within Wales, and again helping to develop the sport in the UK. So I'm involved with that. I'll be off there tomorrow. to do some coaching. We're also going to do some coaching for some junior girls as well, and as well as coaching. I'm going to do some work with Claire and with Els tomorrow.
Oh, amazing. It's how far is Wales from Southampton?
It's about 2 3/4 hours to get to drive up, but it's all motorway. It's pretty straight run.
Oh, great. Well, you mentioned the cadet. Cadet is under 17, under 19.
Yes, cadets is under 17s,
Under 17.
and then juniors is under 19s.
Okay, great. Well, you mentioned Luis Bello. I gonna say that thanks to Luis Bello. Luis Bello will be here in the show next week. But thanks to Luis Bello, he contacted me to Clayton Lucas, and I'm very glad and thankful with Luis, of course.
Those of you watching this, and those of you who do watch this a bit later, or if you watch it and you know Luis, you'll know that that is going to be the longest episode ever, because as much as Alejandro tells me that he can talk, Luis can talk. and he's as passionate, if not more, he's the most passionate man I've ever met about volleyball.
Maybe I'm the second, but
I'm going to be watching that episode. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, well, on this week, I don't remember if it was on Monday or Tuesday. I got contacted with Luis. I told him, "Hey, can I call you via Facebook?" We spent 3 hours talking about volleyball. just listen me. So yeah, it's probably the record here for the show was with 8 hours with the coach of the national team of Mexico who went to Rio.
Wow.
Did you know that that's the limit? Facebook gives you the limit is 8 hours. So 15 minutes before, Facebook told me, hey, you have only 15 minutes to end the show. Well, probably with Luis, we can reach again 8 hours.
Yeah, just dial back in again. It'll be fine. Go for 16.
Yeah, why not? I can speak of volleyball 3 straight days.
Definitely. Well, you'll have plenty to talk about, definitely, and it'd be fascinating. It's I never tire of all jest aside of listening to Luis. He's got such a good insight to the sport, both indoors and on the beach, and I think it's really important that for coaches that you're always looking to learn, and you should never be too proud to say I know everything, because we don't. We're always learning. And even I'm sure the likes of Karch and John Sparrow you've had on the show have also the same thing. They're always looking to get better. They're always looking to learn. And also the players that they're coaching, they may be the best players in the world, but they still want to learn. They want to be to remain the best or get better at what they do as well. So it's everyone, when you're in that environment, always should be looking to improve.
Yeah, well, I gotta tell you, you are mentioning Karch. The thing most impressed me when I interviewed Karch is that he told me, "Hey, Alejandro, I am the first person to know that I don't know all, and I have to learn every day. I have to be open every day." And I think, well, if a legend like Karch says that, we all of the rest of the volleyball players, coaches, and fans around the world, we must do the same.
Absolutely, it's right, because if you're not, then you've got a fixed mindset or a closed mindset. You need a growth mindset. You need to be open to the possibility that there's more out there, and there obviously is, and it doesn't, and as well, there's not one way to do something. There's many ways to achieve the same goal. And I think for me, when I'm coaching and I'm looking and I'm watching players, and when I'm commentating as well, and commentating on players, that it doesn't really matter what their technique is, so long as it's sustainable, repeatable, and more importantly, sustainable under pressure.
Yeah, right.
And you know, that's the main thing. I mean, one of the classics, if you look at golf, there's a guy called Jim Furyk who is a pro player in the States. His golf swing, you would never ever teach it, because he would go back here and then he'd go, but it's like you wouldn't teach that. It's like the same way that my wife and I've seen other players, when she goes to hit the volleyball, she comes here and then she goes 1, 2. You know, you wouldn't say to a player when you're teaching them to play volleyball, you're going to come up here, you're going to pretend to swing, and then you're going to swing again as a natural part of your game. But it works for her. The golf swing works for Jim Furyk, and that's the important thing. Don't be changing something just for the sake of it, because it's not textbook. And in the same way, and Lewis will spend a lot longer on this than I will, but I'll just broach the subject that when you look at players, and for those of you that are looking to learn the game, whether you're watching live or you're watching on the television and you're thinking, right, well, I'm a middle blocker or I'm a setter or I'm so and so, and so I want to learn my position. And if you're someone who's looking at Muzersky for Russia, you're not going to learn anything at all. And I mean that with the greatest of respect, because the reason he's doing what he's doing is because he's over 7 foot tall. His technique, when you look at it, isn't very good. And because he doesn't have to be, he just needs to be in the air and be able to hit it. So
and that's why he can play on as a middle blocker, or as in the London Olympics final, he moved to opposite and he won the game. He won the game.
Probably one of the top games I've ever commentated on. I was sat there as the expert analyst, live commentating, and obviously I'm looking at the rotations, and I'm thinking, come on,
it's wrong. It's wrong.
And of course I'm off. I've no point. I couldn't even tell the lead guy because he wasn't a volleyball guy, so I couldn't say to him, I've got 3 middle blockers on, because what I said was, firstly, I thought they got the rotation wrong. I thought, no, they haven't. And I said, well, so that was where I had to then say, for those of you who've noticed, Muzersky's playing as opposite, and Mihailov's gone to the outside, and there's 2 other middle blockers on. So this is either going to be a stroke of genius, or it's the last throw of the dice for Alekno here. And to be fair to Brazil, I mean, they scraped it that 3rd set, didn't they? It was very, very close. Whether it's 25-23 or 26-24, I can't remember. But it was, Brazil were close to winning. They were close to winning.
Yeah, right.
But then Muzersky, with his height, with his ability, and technically brilliant or not, the fact that he was able to hit the ball above the height of Brazil's block, suddenly there were problems, and Brazil didn't know what to do and how to play it.
Of course, yeah. Nobody expected that change in the gold medal match.
No, but and we're obviously, like you and everyone else watching, going, "What's he doing? This is unbelievable. This is amazing. This is a stroke of genius." But I'm willing to bet every peso and penny I've got that Alekno knew that Muzersky was in his club side, and he'd probably done it in the league. It's probably something, and definitely would have trained it. I don't think for 1 second he's gone, I'll tell you what, have a go at opposite Muzersky, see how you like that, shall we? They definitely would have done it before. But it was brilliant.
Yeah, right.
It was such a great game. To watch it turn all of a sudden into that amazing epic final.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing match. At that time, I remember I was watching the game, and I told myself, "Oh, Brazil is going to win 3-0, no problem." And then came the substitution, the change of the position. Russia won the 3rd, won the 4th, went to the tiebreaker, and they won the gold medal. This was a masterpiece of movement.
Oh, just I think for me, probably my favorite indoor match that I commentated on.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think just because of it was, and that's the beauty of volleyball. It was something that, volleyball is always so unexpected, even in the little things, but that was monumentally unexpected. And it was just like, you wouldn't, there's no movie producer would have scripted that. You look at this, it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. And to be able to put my words to it was a real privilege, and yeah, it lives long. I just won't forget that. Sat there in the booth, looking at the screen, looking at my road, and then thinking, oh right, here we go. And yeah, it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Well, you were talking about the different techniques of the players. For example, Wallace. How can you teach a young guy, hey, hit the ball like Wallace?
Because, and if you watch Wallace's approach, and I know I call him Wallace, but I do believe that the Brazilian, it's Wallace, isn't it? Wallace, but I'm not Brazilian, and I don't speak Portuguese, so
me
it's
neither.
Wallace. Yeah, and for those, and I'm very, that's something perhaps we might come on to, but pronunciations of players' names, I'm really careful to get them to get them right, but at the same time not to become Spanish, not to become Italian, not to become Russian and say Mazeski or Mazeskaya. It's Mazeski or it's Mazeska, whatever, or it's Wallace and it's Bayo, but not Bayo or Alvaro. I'm not going to put all the accents on and try and pretend I speak a language that I don't. I want it to be understandable for everybody, and hopefully then that's acceptable. But you're right, Wallace has got a two-step approach. He practically comes in, he doesn't come in like this, he comes in like this, and then he'll go, oh, you're going to leave me the line, bang, oh, you haven't, bang, and he'll put it within about that far of the net, cross court. He's just like, whoa, how do you play that? The only team I'd seen that were able to shut him down were Russia in the VNL, and it was the last VNL in Chicago, and they doubled up on him. They completely closed the antenna down, and in the middle just got right in, and they shut him down. And all of a sudden, he didn't have his line. He couldn't get the cross court, and I have never seen a meltdown quite as big. He suddenly was going after Bruno, and like, I want the ball here. Then Bruno, and then Williams in. He's like, I want, and eventually Wallace got substituted out, and I've never seen that happen before. And Russia being the only team being able to get hold of him and close him down the way they did. No one else has been able to do that.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you. I think Wallace is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, not someone that you're going to look at to say that's how I want to play. You're going to look at your Mihailovs and look at his work rate, look at the way he comes in. He's got a lovely technique. You're going to look at the smaller players within volleyball, because they're the ones who have to have the best technique to be able to compete at that level. So, and they're the setters and the players to watch, I think, when you want to learn a skill. The Liberos, I think, are brilliant. Dustin Watson at the moment is doing an amazing amount of work with his on social media at looking at how to pass, how to get better at passing, how to read what's going on. And we are, like never before, have so much information available to us if we want to get better as players and get better as coaches.
Yeah, right. I want to go with more messages. Another great international referee, Rui Carvalho, says hello.
Hey, Rui, hey. So brilliant. I love Rui. He's hilarious. And I might have taken had a little bit of a joke at his expense from Cancun, because they go to the referee and it was right there, and of course he stood there being introduced, and the antenna's there like that in front of him, and I said, "Oh, Rui, not able to hide behind that antenna." Yeah, so I just I love the guys are great, and it's lovely for him to say hi. He's one of my favorites. Him and all of them are Jonas, all the guys. I love all of the referees. And one thing I've learned as a coach, and particularly as a commentator, I think the commentary really gave me perspective on just how tough the referee's job is.
Yeah, right.
It's the first or second, and for players who are selfish, and as I was as a player, and even and probably you were as well. I'm sure you've had to go a referee in your time because you're unhappy with the decision that's been made. But the referees might make one mistake, okay, in a match. You as a player are going to make more than that. The team are going to make a lot more mistakes, even if you just took serving errors in the men's game. Okay, it's ridiculous the number of errors they make, but that's the risk reward, and it's a whole nother subject. But the referee's one error isn't going to be the reason why you lost the match.
Yeah,
it's going to be a whole bunch. Even if it came at match point, that's not the reason you've lost the match.
And Clayton, I have never seen one referee that if the player fails, the referee goes to the hey, why did you fail the serve? Why did you fail the block? Asshole!
What are you doing? Come on, get him in. Yeah, exactly. And also, I've got a stat somewhere. Where is it? Oh yeah, look. So I've got my stat sheet here of all the times a player has complained, and as a result of that, before the challenge, the referee has overturned the decision. And do you want to see the stat sheet looks like? It's never going to happen. Stop wasting your breath as a player and complaining to the referee, and because it's not going to change their decision.
Yeah, right.
The challenge system, though, probably the best thing that's happened to volleyball. I think it's given the most fair of outcomes ever. So that match point is a fair decision, and we get the right outcomes. And I've been a real fan of seeing that in action. I know people say, "Oh, it slows things down and it's a bit of a break," but actually, I think when it comes to those really important decisions, it makes a big difference, and it doesn't leave any doubts. Well, more often than not, it doesn't leave any doubt.
Totally agree with you. And what do you think or when is the moment that do you think we can see challenge in beach volleyball?
Well, it has been. They've had the challenge system in effect for the same rules. It's not been on this year, I think, just because of the logistics of getting something in there for the. But I know at the majors, and I'm pretty sure I've seen it at the World. We've had the challenge system for ball in, ball out, and so on, and the touches, etc.
Yeah, right. Well, for example, here in Norseca, we don't have the challenge system.
I know, and yeah. And in some countries, even without the challenge, and I know in Italy for a while, they don't even have lines people. The referee calls the ball in and out. So everyone, it's all different, each to their own in that respect. And I'm all for keeping the ball flying and for rallies to be exciting and for the viewer to get as much enjoyment from the sport as possible. And whatever the governing bodies can do to enhance that, I think is great. I think the challenge system has enhanced the game. I think as well that some of the rule changes have enhanced the game. And we look back to all those things: the libero, rally point scoring, making the court smaller for beach volleyball. They're all good things. And it's important though that those changes aren't made just for the sake of making changes.
Yeah, right. Or touching the ball with the whole body.
Yeah, brilliant. How exciting is that now when you can go running after the ball and kick it back? Like I think the Olympic Games, whether it was 2012, I think it was 2012 with the Brazilian libero. She went running off, kicked it back in, and everyone's like, wow, it's amazing. That you can, it's just so spectacular. And that's the lure of the sport, what draws everybody in, even if you don't know anything about the rules. And you see something like that and you think, oh, that's spectacular, that's amazing. And you get drawn in. And that's really important. And that's the one of the beauties of beach volleyball and indoor volleyball.
Yeah, and when you mentioned a very, very interesting issue. How can I think volleyball is still developing to be a more friendly sport for the fans, for the fans crowd, that they can understand very well the rules and the decision of the referees. Well, I think volleyball and beach volleyball has also room to grow in that matter. But I think volleyball has done a very good job. What do you think?
I think it has done a great job, and I'm on quite a few volleyball forums around the world, and there are a lot of naysayers about the handling rules, for example, and volleyball is a very technical sport,
especially the handling for the second touch.
Yes, exactly. But do you know what? For the vast majority of people, yeah, you're probably right. You say, well, you've made an extreme pickup, which is extreme and it's brilliant, so we play on, and then the ball's really spinning, the other guy's slightly out of position and then goes to set it to keep it in play, and he gets called for a double or gets called for a carry, and people are like, oh, what's going on there? And I can understand those people who say, well, that's not right, that should be allowed to continue. But on the other side of that, if we did allow that to happen, the level, I think, would drop. And what's important is that when we're teaching the junior players, that we're teaching them to do it in the best way possible at all times, to have the best control, the best skill level they can, so that they can make those extreme plays and then have those reactions that actually will not. So maybe they can poke you or they can do something else, as opposed to letting the rules or dropping, making them laxer, so that the skill level then drops. And that's the balancing act I think is really important with our sport, is that we keep the skill level high so that the entertainment value is high and the players make it look really easy. And they make it look really easy because we're all watching the ball and seeing the ball go boom, 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 boom. What we don't tend to watch is what the players are doing off the ball. And that's something that I try to bring into commentary and to say to people, okay, for this next point, just watch the way that so-and-so makes their move to the ball and how they get into position. Don't watch the ball for this rally at all. Just watch the player's movement. And it can transform your viewing and give you a completely different view of an understanding of what's going on. And one of those, not changes to the rules, but one of the, I think, innovations that we're seeing, and as I think it's worked really well, is watching rallies from the end of the court. So the camera is showing us a whole rally like a game of tennis. So slightly elevated.
Yeah, it's totally different to watch the game from the sidelines than from the end line. Yeah, it's totally different. I enjoy more watching the game from the end line.
Yep, I agree, and I have said before, and I'll say it again in future commentaries, that if you can go to a game of volleyball, and the tendency is that you automatically want to sit side on, because we're used to watching volleyball side on as parents, because that's where all the seating is, and then when we go to matches, we tend to gravitate to that, and then we're shown it side on for the most part. So actually, to go and then spend a set, if you can, and watch it from the end, you are going to get a completely different view of the game. The speed of the ball, for one thing, the height of the ball, which again, you don't often see because you were sort of elevated watching side on, and also the movement of the players. And then people can really understand how the four attackers on 3 defenders make such a difference. And then understand why in the men's game that they're serving the ball as hard as they possibly can to try and stop that happening. And they would rather give a point away as a side out than to actually give them a free ball and then be faced with 4-on-3 and have no chance at all. So that risk reward of trying to get a team out of system to stop them having all their attackers is fundamental, is now a massive part of particularly of the men's game. I think the women's game, I like watching the women play more. I think it's a bit more technical. The rallies are a bit longer. They're having to find better ways to put the ball on the floor because they can't just rely on brute force. So they've got to be smart. They've got to use the blocks, and that leads me on. I love watching Japan play volleyball because they'll dig everything, and they'll go block out. Oh, block out. Oh, your hands are there again. Block out. And I love it because they're not looking to put the ball on the floor. So then you're thinking, oh, and you've got, you can see players going back and make it, I should have done this and should have done that. So it's playing on their minds. And for me, Japan, brilliant to watch. Their bronze medal in London in 2012 was just another fantastic game and a joy to watch as well. And for me, Yoshi Takeshita, the setter for Japan, one of my all-time favorites, her and Feng Kung of China. I think Feng Kung of China was probably the greatest female setter I have seen set, because, and the reason I say that is because you don't know where that ball was going until it left her hands. She was always stock still. She had a moment of stillness, and then it was gone. And you're like, whoa, there was no read off of her whatsoever if you're trying to gauge where that ball was going.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you, Clayton. Talking about the second touch ball handling, there are a few international coaches like Igor Kolakovic from Montenegro or Mark Lebedeau from Australia that says, "Hey, let's not be so hard, so strict at judging that ball. Let the game flow." Yeah.
I agree. I think, and so Mark Lebedeau, who is going to be commentating at the VNL in May, June, and I've got to know Mark over the years, and the reason I got to know Mark actually was because one of my kind of tasks as a coach, I was on a coaching course, was to in terms of learning, was to go and find some people I could ask questions I could learn from. And so I spoke to Steve Tutton, and then I went and spoke to Mark Lebedeau. It's the only time I've approached coaches and coaches at tournaments. But after the tournament, I said, "Hello, Mark. I'm Clayton. I'm the commentator." I said, "Would you spare me 5 minutes? I just wanted to ask you a couple of coaching questions." And so I got to know Mark, and he's absolutely, yeah, he's got some very frank and very, his views are quite forthright in certain elements, and I don't disagree with him. I think, yes, I think we're getting to a point now with the men's game where the ball is flying around at such a speed that it is pinballing around, and yeah, maybe it's time to and I think the top referees, the more experienced referees, generally are kind of getting to the point of go, yeah, we'll let it play, because actually that was really exciting, and not get called for a carry and so on. And I would advocate that, but again, I don't want us to then lose the level of skill in the sport. If it was a bit like that issue we had with net touches. We had a rule change that said if you touch the net on the way up, it's not a net touch. Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible to watch. It was horrible to commentate, and quite rightly, it got changed back again to just don't touch the net. And also, it got a bit dangerous because you had. I remember watching Iran playing, and players like, right, we can do full on swing block now, and they're taking the net out. It's just like, what is going on? And yeah, so we've got to be careful about getting the right balance. One for the sport itself, and also for the entertainment value that it brings with it.
Yeah, right. We have more messages. Carol Gordon says, a great match and a clever switch, the Muserski switch.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Carol. So Carol, I mentioned at the start, was really good friend. She was England team manager and went on to coach brilliantly with the England cadet boys, and known Carol Smackaroony, my kids called her growing up. And she absolutely, like me and everyone else, loves the volleyball, and it was such an incredible moment, wasn't it? That switch.
Carol Gordon also says, crazy Wallace approach. He lands like Chris Hay too.
Yeah, yeah, he does.
And GP Duarte says, I think in the US they call that approach goofy footy. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I guess I haven't watched it, but the one player who has got what they call goofy foot, the opposite for Russia, the female opposite for Russia. Oh, what's her name? Her name escapes me for the moment.
I don't remember.
Sure, I want to say Goncharova. I don't think it's Goncharova.
Goncharova, I think it's Goncharova.
Okay, so we'll say it's Goncharova. It's not you, Goncharova. I apologize. But if you watch her, she has got right, left, right approach. Okay, so she's got the approach of a left-hander, but she's right-handed, and it messes up. It's messing her up. The reason she gets away with it is because she's so tall in the women's game. But I've seen her. I was at a tournament, her shoulder completely strapped up, and as a result of her trying to hit things that are working against her body. Because for those of you watching who don't know this, and as a right-hander, you go left, right, left. Your left foot forward, so when you jump, you open up, so your right hand's back so you can swing. Now, if you do that, and your right foot is forward as you jump, you've got nowhere to go. So I can't actually get back where I need to be here. My right foot's forward, that's as far as I can go. So now I'm limited to what I can do. So my middle son, Ben, had this issue. He for whatever reason, he was left, right, as a right-hander. He could absolutely hit the ball really hard from the left side down the line, really hard. He couldn't hit the ball cross court because of the way it was. So we changed that, took 3 months, changed his footwork. And I've been saying that for Goncharova, if she changed her footwork, I don't think anyone would stop her. I think she'd become the best opposite in women's volleyball and be giving Paula Egonu a run for her money. I think Paula Egonu at the moment is the best by far, without any question.
Yeah, she showed that very clear on the superfinals 2 weeks ago. Amazing.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, right, from the left, blocking, serving. Man.
She didn't have a good game, did she? I mean, in the first few sets, she just was a bit hit and miss. And credit to I think it's Vołosz, the setter.
Well, yeah, the Polish.
She was moving the ball around. She wasn't just going exclusively to Egonu. And then, of course, so Egonu wasn't getting lots of service and she was making a few errors. But still, when she got it right, it's like, great. But there was a moment, I think it might have been, it went to 5, didn't it?
Yeah, to 5, yeah.
Yeah, of course it did. Memory like a goldfish.
I was betting for Bakif Bank, but No.
It was incredible. But I think it was in the 5th set, and she came out, and there was just this close up of her on the court, and she was like, and I thought, right, you are in your zone here. We are going to see a very different Igonu, and she came good in the deciding set, and yeah, it was amazing, and it was one of those games where you didn't really want it to end, did you? It was just brilliant. Hack was giving it everything on her side of the court, Igonu on the other. Everyone, it was so well matched, and everyone was giving everything. I thought that Vakifbank setter Ognjenovic was just incredible. And I don't know whether you noticed, but when she goes to set behind, she turns her hand. Did you see that? She goes like that. So she sets the ball behind, not like this, but like that. It's amazing. But yeah, so yeah, I loved every second of that game. It was incredible. And you're right, but someone like, but now for Italy and for Igonu, the next phase is, can she do that on the Olympic stage? And that's what would be great to see.
Oh, I have to be honest with you. I have seen just Isabel Hatch a couple of times, but it was amazing to watch Isabel Hatch. It's a great player, and being Swedish, I think it's really hard that we can see Sweden women in the Olympics. Maybe, but well, she's an amazing player.
She's incredible, and she's only 22. She's I think she's the same year group as my eldest son. So she's from, as being in Sweden, we have this North European Volleyball Association, so NEVSA, and England go and play in that with Sweden and Finland and Iceland and the Faroe
Norway.
Norway didn't play in it because they're a bit too. Did Norway play in it? Norway may have played in it. I think, I can't remember. But so she was playing in that in the girls' side, that when my son was playing in the men. So we've seen her play, but what a rise to go from that to playing for Vakifbank. And I did mention in that super finals that for someone like Hack, and she's playing with Sweden at the moment, they played in the Euro Volley qualifiers to try and get to the European Championships. But I don't think they made it. In fact, I think it's still going on. But their chances of making the European Championships are very slim. And the chance for an Olympics, not at all. And so the question I asked, or I posed, was, being as young as she is, and she's now going to be playing abroad for the rest of her career, she's got an opportunity to spend time in one country long enough to get citizenship, like your Juan Serenas, your Leons, and your Leals. And she could go to an Olympics. She could play in a World Championship. She could play in a European Championship, or depending where she goes, but for another country. And that may be something that, she's been in Turkey now for a few seasons. If she stays there long enough, she could end up playing for Turkey.
Well, Melissa Vargas, the Cuban-born star, she will play for Turkey, for example.
There you go. And I think, so those are real possibilities, and something that maybe, as much as she wouldn't be thinking about that now, she's trying to get Sweden into a European Championship, but maybe it might be something that, she wants to be the best, and she wants to play in an Olympics and a World Championship, and she might have to play representing a different country. Yeah,
probably, yeah, like Juan Torrena for Italy or something.
Exactly.
Leal for Brazil, Leon for Poland. Yeah, a lot of Cubans. I know very well the Cubans. It's in the Norseca, very close. They Wilfredo Leon came here to Mexico 2 or 3 times. Amazing guy 10 years ago as a Pan American champion. Amazing guy, crazy guy, Wilfredo Leon. We have more messages. Chris, hi Kill, Chris from London.
Hi, Chris.
Carl Gordon says, control your control label, not the refs. Toby Goodman says, this is great. I don't need subtitles to understand Clayton's facial expression in describing plays.
Toby's brilliant. Toby is about 6'8", volleyball player, but he has hearing aids, so he does struggle at times to hear what's going on, which can be fun on the volleyball court when you're trying to communicate, which is again, actually, that's something which came up when I was coaching junior players, that when you're coaching juniors, they are very easily put off by what the other team says through the net.
Yeah, right. The trash talking.
Oh, it's crazy. So I was coaching a team, under 18 girls, and we were winning comfortably. We were beating this team, and it wasn't even close. Suddenly, the other team start talking through the net, and we just we've gone. It was awful. Called a timeout, and I just said, it's at times like these where I think if you were deaf, we would have won this game already. And they just looked at me like, I said, that's all they have right now are harsh words. They can't beat you with their volleyball, so they're trying to beat you with words. If you were deaf, you would have won. So that got a bit of a giggle, and they can't. And I said, just ignore them. They've got nothing. Go back and play your game, and we can get off the court. And they did. They went and they won. But the psychology of junior sport is incredible. How they can be suddenly put off by that, something as trivial as that.
Yeah, and that's a proof that volleyball, it's a physical sport, but also a mental sport.
Yes, and if you're a player that thrives on that kind of behavior, if you're somebody that needs to shout and scream when someone does something wrong, then you're walking a really precarious tightrope, because the minute they do it back to you, you're off. And for me, I always coached and would instill in the teams I coached that we don't celebrate the other team's errors. We celebrate our success. And that way, we're not trying to feed off anything or trying to get something from the other team making mistakes. We're just working and concentrating on what we have to do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I was talking about the mental strength. You can see it clearly with the beach volley Vikings, with Anders Small and Christian Serb. They are physically great. They have great technique, but without the mental strength they have, they couldn't be the beach volley Vikings. It's a very, very interesting mixing.
You're absolutely right. I was giving that some thought, actually. Randomly, a couple of days ago, I was thinking about the teams that are in contention for the Olympic Games, and I was thinking about Ahmed and Sherif, and I was thinking, was this just a flash in the pan? Three tournaments on the bounce, they're in the final, they win the third one.
Yeah,
the Volley Vikings aren't there. And actually, I thought, no, it isn't. The temperatures in Cancun were exactly the kind of temperatures that they're used to playing in at home. So for them, it was no different. So they were completely in their environment. And we could see that all the other teams were really struggling. It was like they're playing volleyball in an oven. And even the Volley Vikings, I'm thinking, are they ill? Because they would go up and play, and then they're on all fours. But you're right, it was their mental strength combined with their skill level that not only got them into the finals, but was able then for them to beat Ahmed and Sherif. Because Ahmed and Sherif, once they left, there was no doubt they were going to win the third one, and they won it.
Yeah, right, of course.
Now, the interesting thing is, Japan in June and July is going to be hot and equivalent to Cancun, which then begs the question, Ahmed and Sherif are got to be serious contenders for a medal. Now, whether it will be a gold or whatever, that remains to be seen. But you've got to think, actually, given the conditions, they're going to be there or thereabouts, and it will make for. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Volley Vikings against Ahmed and Sherif. But in Olympic Games, time and time again, somebody comes out that you don't expect and gets there. Italy getting a silver medal, Paolo and his partner getting into this final. Germany getting golds in 2012. Laura and her partner Kira getting gold in 2016. Upsetting the form book is all about, is for me what the Olympics is all about, and what makes it so special. That anyone, once you're there, it's there for anyone to win. Yeah,
right. And while you were talking about Sherif and Ahmed, I think it's a very joyful team to watch play. They play happy. They play without pressure. Well, with the normal pressure of the tournament, of course. But you can watch them, and I can assume, well, one of them coming from Senegal and the other from Gambia. I think they say, hey, we are great for being here. let's go
Yes.
to enjoy the play, right?
They are not only that, they're eternally grateful for the position they find themselves in, and they are very, very respectful as well of the referees, of the organizers, and of their opponents. And you know, they will admit they're probably the only team. I'm not sure if they do it on match point, if it's the Olympic gold medal, but they will generally. Sheriff at the net is like, "Yep, touch me, it touched." You know, he's very. Alisson is also a player who is always good at doing that in the early part of matches. Would admit to stuff, but those two really respectful, really great guys. And I think it's the speed of their play. That one thing for me watching Sheriff blocking, I think at times he gets a little bit too close to the net because he blocks and he puts his hands under the net. So that means the net's here, and then he has to come out, come up, and then come across. But he does it like that. But the trouble is, because he's so close, at times he gets caught with his hands here and he doesn't get across. And that's when he gets into trouble. I think, you know, just watching him from the perspective of, if I wanted him to be a better blocker, I'd have him off the net a bit, and I wouldn't have him. I'd maybe, because he's got almost his forearms are under the net. I'd bring him back, say, right, just have your hands there, all right. So now he's got that much space between himself and the net, so he's not having to come back to go up. He can just come in and go straight up and go straight across. I think it might make him an even better blocker. But
yeah, it's a biomechanical thing, I think.
Yeah, it's just, you know, he's got into that. It's how he's been taught to do it. But it's a little bit awkward. I think he could be if he got it and he wasn't doing that and he was going, because he goes straight across the net. He doesn't go up and across. He goes straight across. Mole, Dalhauser, you know, those guys are the guys that are doing indoor blocks on the beach. They've got the hang time, they've got the height, and they can get into the space really early and stay there and close all the angles down.
Yeah, right. And well, talking about Cancun, these three events in a totally atypical year, which was the biggest surprise for you, or the team or the player you were more surprised in these three events in Cancun?
I was really impressed with Kelly Klaas and Sarah Sponsel, actually. Clays and Sponsel, because they have only been together for a short space of time.
And they are in third place for USA, just 40 points away from the second.
I think it might even be, I think it might, yeah. So as I read it right now, there's been a massive turnaround, okay? Yeah. Because in Cancun, they had to come out of country quota and qualifying to get into the main draw. And I think for their last however many 10 events, they've had to do that, but they then made it into the top 10 in all of those events. That now's changed. They are now in the main draw in the next two events.
Kerry Walsh is going to
she's in the country quota and then in the qualifier. So they've got the upper hand. But as you said, I think they're 160 points behind. What it means is they need a fourth place. If they got a bronze medal, they'll be in front.
Yeah.
A bronze, silver, or gold, they're in front. And then it's up to Kerry Walsh Jennings and her partner Brooke Sweat to match it or do better. So it's a huge battle. It's really, really fascinating, that one in terms of going to the wire. I was really impressed with I think that we had a couple of teams come out of nowhere and suddenly do well on the day. The Austrians did well in the men, and their names escape. Schweiner, their names escape me. I do apologize, lads, but they got to the final four. I think they got themselves a medal as well, didn't they?
The Czech pair?
Oh, the Czechs. Yes, sorry, the Czech guys.
Schweiner and
Persic. I want to say
Perisic and Schweiner. Well, they were second in. Oh no, they won Qatar or second.
They won in Qatar, yep. And then they did well in there. But you get that. I mean, you get teams. I think that sometimes it's just your day or it's just your tournament, and you go in and everything seems to click for you, and things work. And when that happens, it's great. I think, as you mentioned earlier, the mental side of volleyball is huge, but none more so than on the beach. When you look at, it's only 2-on-2. Athletically,
no substitutions,
no subs,
no coach.
And actually they're very similar. So you look at the teams, you look at Mol Sorum, you look at Ahmed Sharif, you've got your big blocker, smaller defender, Dalhausser, Lucena, Allison, Navarro. You know, they're all little clones of each other. So it's all about then what they've got up here. Agatha Duda, amazing, absolutely amazing. Their just ability to go and Agatha at 37 to just keep grinding out, side out.
Or Talit and Tayana winning.
Yes, Talita, Tayana, and you got a feel for them too, actually. Tayana and also the other pairing that stopped playing. Once Brazil decided and picked their two teams for the men and the women, that was it. Talita, Tiana not playing, and Salgado and Maria Antonelli. That's it. You're not going to an Olympics, and I can understand it to a degree. You know, the decision's made, and they are actually the top two men's and top two women's teams, but there wasn't even an opportunity. So Ivandro and his partner, and obviously Allison and Navarro, they're going to the Olympics, and the others aren't. What struck me about that was, can you imagine if the USA Volleyball made that decision and said, right, you know what, we're going to take Clay Sponsor and Alex and April, and we're going to take Dalhausser, Lucena, and we're going to take Crab and Gibb. We made our decision. There would be
a revolution.
It would be, you just couldn't imagine that happening. Because you're depriving players of an opportunity to go to an Olympic Games. You are potentially depriving them of an income, because, all right, you don't get paid in Olympic Games, but you'll get a lot of endorsements off the back of that.
All right.
And careers in sport are short at the best of times. And the money on the World Tour, you know, when you look at Agatha, for example, she's got 14 seasons or maybe more, and she's got $1.2 million. And that sounds like a lot of money, but over 14 years, it's not a lot of money, especially when you've got the cost of travel, training, and everything else.
Or a check for $20,000 for the first place. It's really not much money.
No, it will get you around a few events around the world, won't it? It will keep you ticking over, but it's not the big money. You've got to win the majors, you've got to win a world championships, and you've got to be at the absolute top of your game. But then to say to players, do you know what? You're not going. We're not going to allow you the opportunity to do that. So we're actually then restricting your opportunity to make money. I thought it was a very. I was quite shocked that the decision was made. But you know, what do you do? It's that balance. You've got an organization, a governing body, and in a pro environment, and I'm surprised that it happened. I don't think it would be able to happen anywhere else without there being some serious repercussions.
Yeah, right. We have more messages. Carol Gordon says, how does Clayton Lucas choose when to laugh hysterically during games? Heckles us, enjoy the game so much more.
But you know what? I mean, we've talked a lot about
volleyball. Clayton, it's your trademark, you laugh. You're laughing.
We've talked a lot about volleyball. We haven't actually talked anything about my commentary, have we? Which is me equivocating. I think when I started commentating in 2003. I was asked to commentate by my very, very good friend, Simon Golding, who was a commentator. We used to play volleyball together. I had a career in the civil service, and he was a commentator, teacher, then turned commentator, and we used to get together, play beach volleyball, and we never really talked about our jobs or anything like that. But it was kind of an out of the blue thing. I got this email from him to say, would you fancy coming to Eurosport and being an expert analyst on some beach volleyball? It's not a guarantee, but are you available? And I said, yes, I am. And I went down there, and I remember distinctly I was petrified, absolutely petrified. And he said, you know, this is what you're going to do. I'm going to ask you a few questions and so on. And I said, I'll tell you what, can you just tell me what your first question is going to be so I can write down an answer? And it was Madeline Neppelink, I think. And it was, so she was still a juniorish player, Dutch player. I'm not sure if she was with Marlene van Ursel then or not. But they were the upcoming pairing. And I didn't really know anything about them at all. So I hadn't watched much beach volleyball, certainly not from that perspective, other than just to watch volleyball for the enjoyment of watching volleyball. So he said, "What do you think of this Dutch duo?" And I said, "Well, Simon, I think that Marleen van Ursel will probably be really, really good." She just, and it was so wooden. It was dreadful. You could tell I was reading a little passage of the thing, but I managed to get away with it. I did the commentary, and it kind of went from there. But I was really fortunate that Simon, being the great commentator that he is, I learned so much from him. And also because he was a friend, he was able to put me at ease, and we had a really, really good time as commentators together, without being cliquey, without having any in jokes, but just he was able to let me relax and be me. And the one thing I learned was to be me. The way that I talk to you now, the way that we're communicating now is pretty much the way I communicate when I'm commentating. There are some exceptions. I'm not going to say, "Hello, everybody, welcome. Hello, it's Cancun." There is a bit of a commentator voice, a little bit like so I always write an intro. I always write them, but you probably, you wouldn't, I've got stacks of paper over there. You wouldn't notice, but so because there's TV run-ups and TV rundowns, there's an order in which things happen when the graphics come up and when things start. And for the beach volleyball, off the back of the opening titles, there's a wide shot, we get the graphic, and then it goes to that postcard for Cancun. So that's back 10 seconds. So I always write the opener. The FIVB Beach Volleyball World Tour has come to Mexico. The planet's top players are battling it out for glory. Up next, it's Brazil versus the USA. All the action to come live here in Cancun. And I try and get it to go, and then off it goes to the graphic. So that's me being my commentator, me, and doing that bit. And then it's we come back in. Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to Centre Court. Clayton Lucas here with you as we get ready for our two teams to play. And then it's me being me, and that's what I've learned over the years. And I've also learned that I make mistakes. I say the wrong things, but I'm also not stupid enough or proud enough to try and pretend it didn't happen. And I will quite happily make fun of myself and straight away admit I got that wrong. But because I'm enjoying it, because I'm a fan of volleyball and I love the sport, I don't have any favorites. I love the sport, and things happen that make me laugh as a player, because sometimes I've been in that situation. I understand, I have empathy for the players that are going through it. I'm not laughing at them, I'm laughing at the situation.
For example, the way the Fiddlehauser and Nick Lucena battled with the sky ball of Carambola.
It was incredible because all you could see was the shadow, and they'd gone, and I honestly, I cracked up. But I think probably everybody watching was laughing.
I remember very well, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't me laughing and just going, "Oh, that's rubbish." That was hilarious because it was a funny moment.
And even Lucena Dalhauser laughed, and they say, "Carambola, yes. Hey, what's wrong with you, guy? Please serve well."
And Carambola's, it was a really good moment, and I was quite fortunate. I was commentating it, and I kind of went with the moment. And just laughed because it was, and then when I watched the replay, I couldn't stop laughing because it was just, and he almost got it in. He kind of, Lucena went, flicked it back with the back of his hand and nearly scored a point from it. And then of course the next point after that was a clean ace. They just didn't know what to do. It was brilliant. But I think it's just, being in the moment, enjoying the game, watching it. I kind of watch it with the with the enthusiasm of a fan, but I don't then become a fan. Oh, why has he done that? Whoa, what's going on there? That's fan stuff and people do when they're sat at home and when they're in the crowd.
What's wrong with that referee? Hey, get out of there.
Exactly. I would like to say I have no opinions, but I know I probably have offered some, but only in the context of posing a question. So I think it's really important when commentating that you're not patronizing the viewers, that you're not presuming that they know everything there is to know about volleyball, presuming that they've watched that player since the start of their career, presuming that they've been watching this match from the start of the match. because those are all recipes for disaster, and you're on a hiding to nothing. I think some of the worst things that commentators can say are things like, remember, and then remember so-and-so did this when he played there. It's like, what do you mean remember? I've never seen that. I've only just tuned in. Why are you telling me to remember something?
Who cares? And who cares?
Yeah.
I think the commentator has to comment the things that are happening in the court, not their personal opinions.
Exactly. Tell the story of what's going on. Don't try and impress me with your knowledge of that player or your knowledge of something else, because if you haven't put it in the right way, I'm only just going to get upset by that. Impress me with your ability to show me something I haven't seen, to make me enjoy what I'm watching, and to help me understand what I'm watching if I don't know. And that's really important as well. And again, something that from Simon, working with Simon, and finding that route of saying, right, let's understand our viewing audience. Now, there'll be people who've never seen volleyball. There'll be people that understand the sport. There'll be the players themselves watching, because they will watch matches and with commentary on it. The referees will be watching. Other coaches and other players from other teams will be watching. So the volleyball knowledge goes from nothing to the best that there is, okay, the top people. And I've got to accommodate, and I've got to try and keep everybody happy and entertained. So for the people at the very top, I think I'm like lift music. I'm just that little bit of noise there in the background, quietly bubbling along. It's not too bad. It's okay. I can deal with that. That's fine whilst I'm watching the volleyball. For the people that don't know the sport, I'm there to help them understand it in a way that I'm not talking at such a level that it's too technical for them.
And especially, Clayton, in a sport that we said it before, that it's complicated.
Yes,
it has a lot of rules.
It does, and it's my job to unravel that and try and make it uncomplicated. Try and make it simple for the viewer to understand, and also be pragmatic. And the way I wouldn't upset you, Alejandro. So someone who knows about the sport, but if something happened that we know about, and I might then say for those people that don't understand it, because not everybody will, I'll say, for those of you new to the sport, or for those of you who are not sure what happened there, I will then explain what's happened. So straight away, you're happy, because I'm not patronizing you. I'm not telling you something you already know. What I'm doing now is I'm actually directing this to the people that don't know. And you can sit there and go, right, let's see what he does know then. Does he actually know? So you're now in a position where you can go, oh yeah, he did know that. Well done. So you're not in a position where I'm going, I'm telling you something that you already know and you just get fed up with. But I can hopefully at times tell you something that perhaps you didn't know. Some of the more obscure things that can go on. There was a case in the Champions League semi-final using the challenge system. And what had happened, the referee had called the blocking team for an illegal attack, for being over the net and touching the ball before the setter had played it. And of course, they went challenge. You can't challenge for that. It's not something you can challenge for. So they challenged for net touch. Okay. And because they wanted to get the referee to see the action, to know that he'd got it wrong, to see if he would change his mind. So of course they called net touch. And I said, they've called for a net touch here. So either they think that the setter touched the net in the act of playing the ball before they touched it, in which case they would get the point, or they're trying to get the referee to see the action that they didn't touch the ball first. So of course there was no net touch, and it didn't show that particular thing they wanted. So the referee went, there was no net touch. And then while that was going on, I said, I think that the team have called the wrong challenge. I think they should have called for a block touch. If they'd have called for a block touch, then they would have made the referee look at that whole area to see the hands on the ball, and they would have seen quite clearly who touched the ball first, whether or not the setter played the ball, where the contact on the net was as well, where the ball was in relation to the net, and whether or not there was part of the ball. Because one of the things in volleyball, which is really tough actually, is the ball can be on the top of the net, And in which case that panel is on your side and that panel is on the other side. And you touch, I've touched it first, but is it all in my court? Is it mine? So it's quite a really tough area, but they called for me, they called the wrong thing. And I said, they've called for the wrong thing. If they'd have called for the other one, they probably might have got a better outcome. So again, that was quite a complicated area that I was trying to explain what was going on. All the while, we're just waiting for a picture to come up on a screen and players milling around. So of course, when they didn't get what they wanted, and then went to the referee and he's going, you asked for block touch. There was no touch. And I said, that's quite right. That's what you asked for. There wasn't one. Now let's move on.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing, Clayton. We have more messages. Carol Gordon, thanks, Carol, for being here. Says he invite us to enjoy the game so much more. Yes, of course, I totally agree.
I try to. I just try to help people just enjoy it and get as excited about it as everybody else. Really, I don't want to state the obvious. We can all see what's going on. There's no value in me saying pass by Alejandro, Lucas with the set, Gordon with the smash. Well, we know who it is.
We're seeing that.
Yeah, so I don't need to tell everybody's name who's touching the ball as they're touching the ball. I think you end up with a machine gun commentary that just does nothing. It becomes white noise. I think that and I tend to be almost less is more. I'm watching in the same way that you're watching, and then someone makes like, oh, good dig, brilliant touch. Oh, the rally's still going. You know, those little things that can accentuate what's happening instead of going, Doug by Alejandro, Clayton gets a touch on it. Oh, please, you're talking for the sake of talking, and we don't need that. And I will then tend to talk more probably over the replays, and I'm in a really fortunate position because I know the game that I can act as the dual role. I can be the lead commentator and the analyst at the same time, so I can say what's happening and why it's happening, and that's quite rare. I think in our sport of volleyball, we have some really good broadcasters, some really good commentators, but the number of those with that volleyball knowledge backing it up that aren't based in America. Okay, so talking about English speaking, mostly English commentators is not that many. So I think it's, you know, we spoil the viewers, I tend to, because you kind of get used to that, and then of course you get someone who's not a broadcaster or not a volleyballer, and this was a classic actually. So the Olympic Games in 2012, when we go to the Olympics, the majority of people watching don't know the sport. All of us now become the minority, okay? And I was looking at a forum, and all the volleyball players going, oh, this is terrible. The commentator doesn't know what he's talking about. It's rubbish. And one of my really good friends, Mauler, Tony Pincott, who's now living in Australia, he played indoors for England, played for Speedwell. And his brother was one of the first players. Steve Pincott was one of the first players to go and play abroad from the UK, actually. But he just made this one, he asked this one question, and he just said, how many of us watching dressage know if the commentator is getting that right?
Yeah.
I have no clue how dressage works. And he shut everybody up with just one line. And that's the important thing to understand, is that, you know, what's the audience? Where are you as that audience member? And you can't please everybody all of the time. And that's the important thing. And for me, I know that, you know, as many people that like my commentary, and I'm delighted that you like it, Alejandro, enough to ask me to be on here. But for as many that like it, there'll be just as many that really can't stand my commentary at all. And I fully appreciate that someone had mentioned, I think it must have been somebody famous, because it's a really good quote, said that as a commentator, half the viewers don't like you, and for the other half, you're on probation. And I think if you take that view and just try and keep going and just make it as enjoyable as possible, then that's it. And I am me. I've learned to, as I say, I've learned to be me. I've learned to just go with it. I'm not worried if I make a mistake because they happen, and it's just how you go with it. And I think trying to frame I don't write any outros. I don't think, right, if so-and-so's going to win here, this is my line that's going to come up and I'm going to try and say something spectacular. No, I have pinched one line from football. I think the greatest football line from the World Cup in 1966, when the crowd got on the pitch and the commentator said, they think it's all over. It is now. And I think I've used that over the years to say, oh, the ball hasn't hit the floor. It has now. It's just little things like that. But or it's still playing, it's still going on. But I don't, I feed off of what's going on. I get stuck in, and my emotions can get the better of me. For the first time ever, actually, the super finals, when Gerbic was on his knees crying, I had a tear. I was commentating from here where I am now, and I got quite emotional.
It was pretty touching, knowing the history of Niko Gerbic. He was an Olympic champion. Yes. Saxa wasn't the richest team in the Plus Liga. It was he left in the quarterfinals the Lube, in the semifinals the Zenit Kazan. It was a great accomplishment for Saxa.
Incredible, and all his emotions came out, as well as the rest of the team, and yeah, it got me. It got me, and so did the women's final. And I don't think I've ever had that before. And I think actually that might well have been because I'm here for the first time this year. I've been commentating from my home studio live, so it's only me, literally just me, and I was just completely lost in it, and it was incredible. But for me, it's important to be able to not get so lost in it that I become a blubbering wreck, and then it's all just, oh, that was amazing. I had to rein it in and just let the emotion of what was coming on the pictures come out, and knowing what we talk about in commentating, you talk about letting the pictures breathe and just letting what's happening tell its own story, and I think that's just as important, if not more important, than me speaking.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I started this project 1 year ago. Volley Talks, not only focusing in Mexico or in Latin America, but hey, this is a global sport. Let's go global. With you, you're the first person from the United Kingdom. With you, I'm reaching 30 different countries, and I think I see a lot in Latin America, in the Spanish commentaries. They do things like that. Alejandro touched the ball, and then he sets to Clayton, and Clayton smashed the ball, and Wallace is blocking. I mean, doing that for 2 or 3 straight games, I think it's very exhausting.
It's exhausting, and I think it's exhausting for the viewers.
And nobody wants to hear that. I think.
No, I don't think so. Do you know? I'm not. I think for me, I had a real pinch myself moment where I've been fortunate enough that in the World League, when I did the World League as it was, you'd go and do the match of the week. And then after the game, once the game's finished, they would go to some highlights. I would then nip down from my commentary position, go to the court, have a microphone, and I would then interview a player from the winning team. And I was stood there in Curitiba, it was in the finals in Brazil. Brazil had won one of their matches, and I'd gone down, and Lipe was coming over. So he'd come over, he stood there facing me. He has no clue who I am. And he stood there, and he kind of, when you're waiting to be interviewed, seconds feel like hours. And I could see he's kind of looking. I said, please just bear with me a moment, Lipe. They're just doing the highlights. And as soon as they finished, I'll interview you. And he looked at me and he went, you're the English commentator. and I thought, oh, I'm in trouble. Yeah. Anyway, I love listening to your commentary. I switched the Brazilian commentator off. If you're commentating, I listen to you. I didn't know what to say. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. And I'm thinking, I've got to ask you some questions now, and I can't think of anything to ask you. But it was, that was a really great moment for me to think that I must be doing something right if I've got one of the best players in the world who likes listening to what I have to say. He said, what he said was, I think you're very informative. I think you bring the viewers in and you make it enjoyable to watch. And I was like, great. I was just like, brilliant. And to have that kind of an endorsement doesn't make me complacent, doesn't mean in any way that I think, right, I've got it wrapped up here. But it just kind of gave me that bit of a confidence boost, really, to think, yeah, I can do this. And actually I need to make, you're always doubting yourself. I'm pretty sure when you started doing this, Andrew, you're thinking, oh, I don't know, am I going to be able to do this? And there's always that bit of self-doubt about what you do. Or now that might that's not our time up, by the way.
It looks like a club.
It's actually the battery going. So in the best world of TV and lighting, I've actually got an extra light I put up here just so I wasn't too dark. Bear with me. Bear with me a second.
All right.
And I'll keep talking. So the one thing that as I said, it gave me was that ability to just believe in what I was doing, and yeah, that was incredible. And actually, I had one more. So Micah Christensen at the World Cup and you're all looking at me. Come on, there we go. Right. So Micah Christensen.
Yeah.
I do. Same thing. I was about to interview him, and he was. I don't know whether he's taking the mick or not. But I said, oh, please, again, bear with me. We're about to just waiting for the highlights to finish. And he went, you're the voice of volleyball. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I was thinking, no, I'm bloody not. But yeah, but it's funny. We were talking about not being recognized, not having, people don't know what I look like, but they know my voice. We were in Japan, and when you're in Japan at the World Cup, the teams will play in one venue, and then after a few days, we all up and travel to another venue.
Yeah.
And we were traveling from one place to another, and I was the Australian team. I was traveling with them and a few referees and so on, and we stopped at a train station. We were all getting Starbucks. I'm there in the queue, I'm at the front, and there's a bunch of huge Aussie players stood next to me, and the woman said, "I'll be this." I said, "Oh, thank you very much. That'd be great." And the guy went, "Hey, he's the one that does the volleyball. He's the commentator." And I thought, "Oh crap!" I went, "I'm really sorry. I hope I haven't said anything to offend you."
Is that a good thing or is a wrong thing?
Yeah, exactly. He went, "No, it's just good to. It's great. So now I know what you look like. Not in a bad way, but putting a face to a voice, which in what we do, or rather what I do." I'm behind the camera and don't get seen. So and I'm quite happy with that. I'm not at all interested in presenting. I've got a face for radio, but I just have to make sure that my commentary isn't for radio. And I think, as you were mentioned, Alejandro, when you've got Spanish commentators or any commentator who is telling you what you can see at 100 miles an hour, that's the kind of commentary that you'd expect for radio. And add in over on the right side, Clayton about to go and jump. He's taken off from the 10-foot line and he's hit that one down the line. There's no one. That's the kind of commentary you'd expect if you couldn't see what was going on. You don't want to have that when you can see it. And another one of my little bugbears, I mentioned the fact that being patronizing when you start a sentence with the word remember or of course. The other one for me is finishing a sentence with the word there. Oh, great spike down the line there. Well, I know where it is. It's down the line. One, I can see. Two, you've told me, and now you've just confirmed it by telling me it's there. Oh, what a great dig there. Well, stop saying there. For me, though, that's something that I see happens early on in a commentary career. Things like saying well or so to start a sentence. Well, so here we have, and those are things that become a little comfort blankets there, vocalizing your thought to get you to the next thing you want to say. And it's really important that you don't do it. The trouble we have, I think, as a freelance commentator in this business, being, as well as I am now, a multi-sport commentator, I don't just do volleyball, I've done a whole bunch of others. You go and you do the sport, and the producer sometimes is just, are you talking? Oh, you are, great. Now I can concentrate on something else. I can hear a voice, but I'm not listening to what's actually being said. And I think for you to develop as a commentator and to get better, one, you should watch yourself back. When you do it the first time, it's horrible. I'm sure perhaps when you saw your first interview and you listen to yourself, you're like, do I sound like that? oh my God, that's horrible. I don't know. I don't sound like that. Well, yeah, you do. That's your voice. That's it. Tough. You're stuck with it.
All right.
And the best thing is just keep it. Don't try and put a voice on either. I've seen that happen as well. I've seen commentators who put on a voice to try and be somebody else. So they're acting whilst they're commentating, but then have to be passionate about what they're talking about. And I don't see how that's possible. Really, if you're trying to disguise your voice. But I think producers' roles need to be one, you know, if you want to get feedback in this business, it's not easy. And best to watch what you do, reflect and listen to yourself. It's all very well asking friends and family, but with the greatest will in the world, they love you, they're your friends, they're going to say nice things. It will take a lot for them to say, do you know what, that was awful, or you're really not cut out for this, or you need to stop doing that or stop doing that. You need a professional, you need a producer to help you. And it's something I did actually, probably shouldn't have, but I did. Went to the Olympic Games, the Winter Olympics, and I was working as what's called a QA/QC, quality assurance, quality control, and just listening to the commentators. So you'd start them, say, okay, you're on air in 10.98, 7.65, you're on, you can start talking. You'd listen through. If there was any cues you had to give them, you would tell them, say, okay, you can stop talking now, just pause here. You can start talking again. And then when the match finished, you'd say, okay, you've got 15 seconds before we stop, we close. And so that's it. Well, I had a couple of lads who were doing curling, winter sport, where you throw a stone down the rink.
Yeah.
Lovely guys, really knowledgeable, former curlers, really knowledgeable, but they weren't broadcasters. They were new, they were coming in. And one lad started his sentences with the word well or with the word so. Now, I'd watched one end and it was really getting on my nerves. So instead of letting it get on my nerves, and I'm not going to be telling him anything on air because that would be catastrophic. It'd be like having a coaching lesson while you're having a match. You don't do that. I made a 5-bar gate and I just noted how many times he said well or so. After it all finished, I said to him, oh, can I give you some feedback? He went, yeah, okay. He looked a little bit worried. And I sat him down. I said, I loved your commentary, really knowledgeable. When you're very enthusiastic, it was really enjoyable to listen to. Are you aware that you say well or you say so when you start your sentences? He went, no. Okay, so you probably don't know how many times you said it then, do you? No. You said it. He said, well, 98 times. He said, so I think it was something like 86 times in the course of that. And he was absolutely mortified. He said, I didn't know I said it. He said, no one's ever told me this. I said, that's okay. It's not a problem. But it's something you're now aware of. It's something that if you can lose from your commentary, it's going to elevate your commentary even more because you're going to be really on the ball to the point about what you're saying. I went past his booth the next day and he had an A4 piece of paper like this. And on it, in capitals, he'd written well. And then underneath that, he wrote so. And I was producing him the next day. And he went from nearly 200 episodes down to less than 10.
Really?
Really. And honestly, and in his commentary, and you could see that it was that he had this visual cue. He now knew something that he didn't know before. He was keen to learn and he just got better and better. And that's quite rare in what we do as commentators. Generally, unless you say something catastrophic on air, which means someone's going to come and tell you said it and you won't work again, you never get any feedback at all, really. It's quite an extraordinary workplace. And again, as well, you can't always go up and say to the producer or the director, can I have some feedback? Because they're busy doing other things. They may have another match to do now or something else they've got to do. I've only done one game and I'm off doing something else. Someone else is now coming in to do another game. And so you just don't get, getting the opportunity to actually sit down and have a chat is also quite tricky. And you don't want to be seen to be hounding people either. How was that? Did I do it right? Because people don't really want to know. They've got other things they want to be doing. So there's a lot of self-learning and reflecting and trying to find as well your mates and people who will give you some constructive criticism, some constructive feedback without, and this is the other thing as well, and something that you will have, I have, and everybody who watches sport has, and that is confirmation bias. So if you're supporting Vakif Bank, okay, and you really, really want Vakif Bank to win, and I'm going, what amazing spike that was, Igonu, that was a brilliant spike. And then of course I say, well, that's a great play from Hack. Well, that's fine. You're expecting that, and it kind of washes over you. But then you keep hearing me talking about Igonu, and you're like, oh, that commentator, he's only interested in Corneliano. He's rooting for them the whole time. He doesn't like my team. Well, yeah, I do actually, but your confirmation bias is alerting you to when I'm talking about the team that you don't like, and you're therefore then putting that onto me and thinking that I don't like your team. And I've seen that a lot. I've seen that in a few comments. I don't really pay much attention to them, except once, where someone commented and said I was a stupid commentator because I did so and so, and I thought, do you know what? I'm not having that. And I just messaged back and said, you want to be careful what words you use, because that could be seen as slanderous, calling me stupid. And the situation he was describing, he got wrong anyway. And then I just explained it all to him. And I've never seen anyone backtrack so fast in all my life. I didn't mean stupid. What I meant was, and it just went on and on and on. And in the end, he said, I'm really sorry. But and I shouldn't get involved in that, and I shouldn't do it, because there's no real good comes of it, because you've got everyone who's got one of these and decides that they've now become that keyboard warrior, and they're going to have a say because they can, because they're thousands of miles away and there is absolutely no repercussion on them, that they can say insulting things, they can be nasty, they can say what they like, and it's never going to change anything. Someone being mean on here to commentators just because they don't like them, it's not going to stop them working or stop the the people employing them from employing them. And it's a waste of time, really. It doesn't serve any purpose other than can be upsetting for no real reason, just to be nasty, and there's no need for it. Imagine that. Imagine if I was doing that and just saying, oh, she's rubbish. I wouldn't last 5 minutes, would I? Someone would be dragging me out of the chair. It's just don't do it. And so why do people think that they can then do that to other people? And why do they think it's because they think I've said something that has offended their team or them, when I would never intentionally do it? I love volleyball. I love the sport. I love all of the players, and I love great volleyball actions. And if it's a great action for one team, I'll be, and then a great action for the other team, I'll be just as excited for player A on team B as I am for player C on team D. I don't care. And if you don't like that because you're only interested in your team, then it really is your problem. It's not mine.
Wow, amazing! Thanks for the learning, Clayton.
I think you gave me a good listening to then, didn't you? I was a lot of chat. Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's perfect. Okay, John Bidiscomp says more commentators like Clayton who can explain the game to players and non-players. Yeah, that's the idea.
Well, I try to, and I think we're fortunate that as I said at the start earlier on, that I'm in a position where I can do that. So I try to do that, and that means, of course, I have to be continually learning, and that's why referees are my best friends. And I will never. The only time I've ever, I actually laughed at a referee on air, and I shouldn't have done. But it was a World League game. France were playing when Pierre Puyol was the setter. I think they might play in Brazil. Brazil have rolled a ball. Puyol is at position 1. And he's gone running in dive, trying to pancake the ball. And from the view, I said, oh, that's down. Anyway, the ball pops up, and I think somebody played it straight back over, and the rally continued. And France won the point. And I said, well, do you know what? I thought that was down. I'm sure that ball was down in the commentary. And then we got to see a replay, and we got to see the side. It was a rally where we'd been watching it from the end on. We got to see the side on view. And I'm not kidding, okay? I can't. But his hand came along like this. And if this is the ball, okay, he went, and the ball went doing, and his hand then went under it. But because of the way it happened so quick, where it went like that, and where the referee was looking right down, because it was right underneath the first referee. When you looked at it from that angle, it would have looked like he touched it. But when they then showed it again for the second time and freeze framed it, the ball was on the floor and his hand was here. Oh, I burst out laughing. And I couldn't stop laughing. Pure was crying with laughter on the French team. And of course, the referee has just gone, yeah, that was fine. And I said, well, I said, I've got to feel sorry for the referee. He's got that terribly wrong. But then I explained why and the reason why it would have happened and why he didn't see it. Because of the angle he was looking at, the speed at which it happened, that it would have looked that the opticals for him would have seen that ball come down and up and the hand's gone under it. Now, it's difficult when you're looking down to see when it actually hits the floor. So for him, he thought it was in. But that's the only time I've said, yeah, where I've said a referee's got it wrong. All other times, I always say it's a tough decision to make. It's got a split second. And nowadays, the top referees in the top matches have got the added advantage where they can go, challenge me. So if they're not sure and they want the right outcome, they can call a challenge. And that in itself is just an amazing addition to the challenge system. So the referee can call it, and then we know we're going to get the right outcome.
Right, thanks. Karen Skerrit says, best part of the game, the mental part, and says mental strength comes from the team as a group and you as well. Yeah, right.
Definitely. I think when you've got a team that believes in each other and a team that will fight for each other no matter what, then you'll get results. And I think on the world stage, Brazil men and Brazil women are the antithesis of that. They are, I think that's the right word. They typify that. They know that compared to teams around the rest of the world, they're not as big, they're not as strong, particularly in the women's game, but they fight, they hustle, they don't give up on anything. And they're a bigger version of Japan, but they know that they are not, they don't have the players that the teams in Europe have. I was speaking with the assistant coach for the Brazilian women's team, Paulo. Is it Paulo?
Ser Roberto?
No, not Z. Roberto is the head coach, the assistant coach. I think it's Paulo, and he was saying, we have to fight. We have to. So our intensity, our team spirit is one of, we are not going to give up. We're going to fight for everything. And by the same token, and this is the thing about volleyball, if you've got somebody who's draining and pulling away from the team, then that can have a big impact very quickly. And therefore, we sometimes see a substitution in volleyball that can transform a team and can transform the result. We talked about Muzeski. That was a substitution of sorts by putting him in a different position. But sometimes, the setter. So Brazil men, Bruno has been substituted out, and William has come in, and you're thinking, oh, this is it. It's all over for them. But he's won them the matches. He's won them sets. He's won them, and knowing his belief and the team's belief in him, and understanding that if it's not going right and things aren't working, then we can make changes. But if someone is like Wallace is causing issues, then bring someone else in. It can make a big difference. So it goes both ways. And volleyball, as Karen says, team spirit, team strength is huge, and the mental part of the game is also really, really, really important.
What can you tell me about the Iranian men's team? They are warriors since millenniums away, and
they're like a bit of a scrap, don't they? There is no love lost between Iran and Poland, that's for sure. And I guess my biggest faux pas came as a commentator when Iran took bronze at the was it the Grand Champions Cup? They won
in Japan.
In Japan, wasn't it? The first time, I think the first time they've actually won a medal on the world stage.
Yeah.
And it was late November, early December, and they're all there. They got their bronze medals, and the finishing shot was they're all going, yeah. And I said, and Christmas has come early for Iran. And then realized what I'd said and just thought, there's no coming back from that at all.
Christmas for Iran.
Exactly, which they don't celebrate. So, but friends of mine who are Iranian said they couldn't stop laughing. They thought it was the funniest thing they'd heard. So, but yeah, in terms of them I love them. I mean, Maruf is one of the best setters in the world.
It's amazing, yeah.
His ability to put the ball, on a sixpence is incredible. And then they're just creating now this breed of tall, wiry, hard-hitting players. the thing for them now, I think, is the next step for them is that mental ability, that belief that they can do it. They get so fired up that they can get a little bit out of control, and then the emotions start to get in the way for them at times. So they need to be able to temper that. And I think they've struggled a bit with the coaches as well. That, you know, that really do they really believe in the coaches that they've got? There's been some high profile coaches in there.
Julio Lozano, Igor Kodakovic, and now Alegno is going to run.
I think Elecno could be the one that is going to just go and bang heads and go, boys, not enough. Enough is enough. Because I've seen Kodakovic, and I've been sat courtside commentating and seeing the way that he's trying to talk to them, and they're just walking off. They're not listening, and he's lost them. And I think with Raul Zan, the same. They'll buy in for a little bit, but it's they need to buy in the whole way and commit. And if they do that, and Elecno can get them to do that, they're world beaters without a doubt. And they got that young lad coming through who jumps. He's got a huge jump on him as well, and hitting some pipes like I've never seen. You know, hitting pipes better than Taylor Sander as well. So it's you know, there's a lot of promise there, but they've got to believe. They've got to respect the coach, and they've got to want it.
Yeah, right. Dennis Austin says, "Hey, my favorite commentator. He's the best at being in the moment." Dennis Austin.
So Denise is so text her back and say that you so Denise, Alejandro wants to have a conversation with you, okay? And you have got so much to give, and it will be a joy to listen to you having a chat with Alejandro. So as I mentioned, Denise is the beach volleyball legend, currently living out in Portugal at the moment.
Right.
I think being in the moment, yeah, I guess so. I guess again, being a fan and getting the ability to. For me, what I started to do quite early on, and I think it was as part of my learning as a player, when you're watching videos, you're trying to get better, is you're watching the players. So you're not watching, you know, quickly getting away from how hard they've hit the ball and going, ooh, or how high they've jumped, but then looking at how they got into that position to jump that high, to hit that hard, their movement to get into the right place. And so having done that a lot as a player, that then translated into me as a commentator. I've watched enough volleyball now. I've watched probably 2,000 plus matches of volleyball, indoor and beach, over the years. And I don't need to watch the ball. I know. So you've passed it, great. I know it's going. I know where it's going within a second of where it's split second. Now I'm watching the play build up, who's where, what's happening, what pressure's being put on the team on the other side of the net, what are they doing themselves in blocking. So I'm trying to pick up a whole load of information that I can then give back to explain what's going on where I can.
Yeah.
And I think that the indoor game, I love beach volleyball. I think the indoor game it's got so many more complexities to it. There's more players, there's more things going on. And I know I commentate a game of volleyball indoors, and a 2-hour game seems like it's been done in 10 minutes. I still to this day, I'll do a commentary, and it's gone like that. Once you're in, and the minute you start looking at the clock, and you're thinking, oh, you know, then it will you might as well just stop, because there's no point in you commentating anymore. I think if you're not passionate about what you do, whether even if it's not your sport, but if you're not passionate about your commentating and you're only interested in the money, then that will come across in your commentary as well. And it's not about that. It's not the most well paid of jobs I do. It's not the most glamorous either, thinking that, you know, I might travel around the world. I went to Joinville in Brazil for one day. I was flown from London to Sao Paulo to Joinville. I arrived in the afternoon. There was a match going on that evening. The following morning, I commentated the match of the week. The game finished. I went back to the hotel, had a shower, got changed, was on a bus, back to the airport, back on the plane, and I was back home again. So I spent more time in the air than I did on the ground. And so, you know, sometimes it's not pleasant at all. I've commentated in Moscow at the beach volleyball, sat in the stands with a plastic chair to have my commentary equipment on, and that was it. I've been in Brazil where the Globo TV studio is not being used until the gold medal match, but I'm sat on a stool outside that, looking over a balcony, commentating for the entire weekend with an empty studio next to me, but I can't use that because there's going to be used for one game. So it's not glamorous at all at times. You are very much get on with it, get it done, do all your own research. It's you're in a very privileged position when you can go and to a gig and someone comes up to you and they provide you with information. And a massive shout out to Dennis Wagner and to Blowfish and the guys at, excuse me, at BVB Inc., BVB Volleyball, are just incredible guys. They just got a whole raft of resource and information available. I've talked too long.
Come on.
and just that information that they provide, and Tim provides these crib sheets for the medal matches, and with so much great information, not just like the stats of this and this, but just really good stuff that I think viewers want to know. For those of you that watch me commentate, and you may have noticed this, Alejandro, I'm not big on stats. I don't talk about the stats, what's going on statistically, because there's so much I can talk about what's happening in the game. And that's where my interest lies and what I want to talk about, because that's what's interesting. I think it's good if you don't, if you're, for your broadcasters who there's another element to it, you can use that to kind of get you in. One of the classic stats that we see a lot on the VNL, and it's great, it's a good stat. So Zaitsev, 14 kills or 14 points, sorry.
Yeah.
And that will come up and I'll say, oh, Zaitsev, he's got 14 points. But then I'll say, however, what we must then take away, he's had 3 serves in the net. So now he's down to 11 points. He's been blocked twice and he's hit 3 balls out. So actually, whilst he's got 14 points, he's only really contributed to 7 or 6 of those in terms of the team.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to know. That tells another story.
That's very, sorry, Clayton, that interrupt you. That's very interesting, because the new Pro League Athletes and Volleyball in USA includes the right actions and the wrong actions. Yeah. And at the end of the game, at the end of the tournament, they say, hey, you are the best overall player because this like fantasy volleyball.
Yeah, so that's interesting as well. So that makes it, in that situation, that Athletes Unlimited, if you've got a setter who's the setter, really probably could have been susceptible to say, I'll tell you what, if you set me every ball, then then obviously it could be a big win or it could be a big fail. Yeah. But middle blockers have got a tough time in that scenario, haven't they? Because if they're not getting that many kills, because they're not getting set, because the pass isn't coming in and the ball can only go out to the opposite or the outside, then that can skew who's going to end up winning in that kind of fantasy volleyball. So it relies on it actually relies on the team for one person to win.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. There are people who likes athletes and volleyball, there are people who doesn't like that model, but I think it's a little different. Let's try it.
Yeah, I think stats are great, but they don't tell the whole picture, and that's the important part of understanding that when you get something on the screen, that you can qualify it and say, okay, that looks brilliant overall, but actually he's only +4 in terms of his contribution. And what I mean by that is he's 4 points up. He's given 4 points to the team overall in the 14 he's scored, because he's made 10 errors. He's been blocked twice.
Yeah, right. John Bidiscom says the best commentators are the ones that you will love to go and watch a match with. Yes, of course.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's although I do tend to, because you can enjoy it, get stuck in, and then if people can ask, but I tend to go watch a game. No, it's not that often, actually. It's not that often I get to watch a game and I can just watch it. That's been some of the great, I think, being a dad and was being able to go and watch my sons play volleyball and just watch, because in fact, even when I was the assistant coach, I had the best seat because I'm sat next to the court and I'm watching, and I've got to make a few notes and a few stats, and I've got to put the rotations out, but I could sit and watch to a degree. I wasn't commentating. I was having to help Luis with certain information about so on, and he would give me quite a lot of rein to do stuff. But I think the opportunities to watch volleyball are not that. I don't get to do it that often, which is so when I do, I just like to sit. I just tend to sit and just enjoy it, and try not to get into a commentary mode or anything else, but just to sit and watch it and enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah. GP Duarte says, Clayton will have to comment my wedding video.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't realize he was getting married. Commentating a wedding video. I did have a sort of talk about Simon. We had a company together and we made a lot of sports programs for Sky Sports. And one thing we did look at was making wedding videos, but wedding videos that weren't just like you know following down the aisle and a few confetti being thrown. But we did one. Simon did one. And it was really good. We interviewed the parents who did and took the bride and the group and the bridesmaids getting their hair done and making all those things. So quite a classy wedding video. But we didn't really have commentary over it. I'm not sure. But it would be fun, I suppose, to do it maybe in a Eurovision song contest style of commentary.
Denise Austin says, when he commentated on the Sky Ball, you can see how classy his style is, as it's live and can be added or dubbed, so you have to get it right. Making sure it's succinct and apt is a skill in itself. Sorry.
Well, I like Denise said, I was in the moment. I thought it was just a hilarious moment where I just was me, and that's the thing. The more I've commentated now, it's 18 years of commentating, the more I've been able to be me, and I guess my personality and the way I commentate is unique in that style. But I think all the more experienced broadcasters are the same. They are who they are, and they don't try to be anybody else. So,
yeah, right. Mark Perkins says, awesome advice, Clayton Lucas. Love your passion and work.
Cheers, Mark. Mark is a budding commentator. Well, I say budding commentator. He's coming to the Olympic Games as it happens. So Mark's going to be commentating on volleyball and I believe yachting. And I think he's going to be doing some sitting volleyball for the Paralympics. And what's the other sport he said he was doing? Yeah, so Mark's a commentator and does a lot of presenting, announcing, I should say, for very much involved with volleyball. Played volleyball at Cardiff, coached at Cardiff as a setter. But I think that's if you want, my advice for you, Mark, is one thing. Well, not for you, but I think one thing that I've seen a lot with new commentators and budding commentators is they can sometimes tend to be a little bit clipped when they're talking, as if they're not taking a breath. And that was a really good play. And so with the serve. And you get that kind of little staccato, quite quick and then stop, quick and then stop. Whereas you really want to just be you and be excited in the right moments. When I'm doing my intros, if I want to, there's that. Did you hear that? Then hopefully not, but that was Mark.
Oh yes, Mark.
And I think he's just saying something like, how very dare you talk about me. It wasn't Cardiff, it was somebody else. He's had to dip in and out. Is to not be, as I was saying about not being clipped, but to breathe. And if I want to change the way I sound, so if I smile when I'm talking, and I'm smiling at you now and I'm talking, my voice is very different to when I'm talking and I'm not smiling. And that makes a big difference. So when you want to get something across, when you're introducing something, then smile about, hello everybody, welcome to the virtual. It completely changes what you're doing, and something as simple as that can make a big difference to what you want to get across. You don't need to shout but you can project. Oh, that's a brilliant play, and as well, and again, not to the point of view where it sounds like I'm trying to go to the toilet. Oh, that's incredible, because that doesn't sound right. But at the same time, that's incredible. We don't want to be going up here and sounding like Mickey Mouse, okay? And say, okay, Plotter, let's go for a walk. No, we're not commentating like that either. And you've got to have that that light and shade really in your voice if you can, and not to be flat, not to keep going up, not to stop as if you're not taking a breath. But all that comes with time, because when you first start, you don't know what you don't know. Like in anything, like when you start playing volleyball, you don't know how to dig necessarily. Someone's got to show you. You have a go because you think that's how it's done, and then you get the feedback about how to do it. And the more feedback you can get, the better you can become, and different learning styles, and being, I think the one thing I've learned is yeah, just to be able to not take it too seriously, be passionate, enjoy it, and keep trying to learn and get better. I don't think at all in coaching and commentating, I've still got loads to learn. I know that I'm nowhere near, you know, the guys you see week in, week out and listen to on your BBCs and on your main, you know, I am a world feed multi-sport commentator that goes about in the ether and the lower levels of commentating. That's who I am, and I accept that. I'm not trying to be anything else. I love the opportunity to do what I do. I was very fortunate that the 2016 Olympic Games men's final was shown live on the BBC. So I did get a few texts after that go, "You're working for the BBC?" And I was like, no. But you know, you don't know where it's going to go when you're commentating as a world feed commentator, or who's going to take it. Sometimes it will be something like that, the BBC. So that's brilliant. You know, to all intents and purposes, I've been on the BBC. It's a huge achievement. I'm delighted with that. And it was something that my mum never stopped going on about. You know, so, oh, my son's been on the BBC, and this is great. But other times, they won't even take my voice, or my voice will be that guide commentary that the local commentator will listen to and then commentate in his own language or her own language. So it's a guide commentary, world feed commentary are very different to, for example, being a an NBC commentator commentating on America. That's about as partisan as you can get. And they're going to be giving it everything for the USA, in the same way the BBC commentating on England in the football are going to be going on and, you know, being very pro England. My job isn't that, will never be that. It's about being pro both teams, pro the event, pro the sport. And so it's an art in itself, I suppose, in that respect, that you can't just throw all your eggs into one team and go, oh, it's all about them.
Yeah, it's something that happens to me here in Mexico. Some people say, you have to only talk with people from Mexico. You have to share in your show only for Mexico. I say, why? Because we are a global sport, and there are people who plays and reps and coaches and commentates volleyball in the 5 continents, not just Mexico. So exactly. It's global. Let's go outside, and I think it's one of the opportunity areas for all the sport in Mexico. I will not go further, but we have to learn from around the world, from other countries, from other cultures, to be involved in different ways of doing things.
I have been very fortunate and privileged to have traveled the world, more so now as a commentator than I did as a player. And it's been amazing. It's opened my eyes to so many things I would never have seen, places I've never have gone to, people I would never have met, and just made me so much more aware of the planet as a whole, of myself, and so many things that volleyball has given me that I would never have got had I not played this sport. And for anyone, and for the people that are saying, okay, it should only be about Mexico, I've probably never left Mexico. When people say that, and say it's got to be pro this country, it should have never left their shores, have never gone abroad, in my opinion, because if they had, they wouldn't be saying that. Once you travel, once you get to see other cultures, once you get to experience those things, you do become a citizen of the world. I don't, I'd have to put down British on my passport or on forms, but I'm just me, a member of the world, really, and that's how I see it. The world has got smaller. It's more accessible now than it's ever been, pandemic aside. And we'll see how things change with that, but it's brilliant. I love it. For me, and playing volleyball the way I did, I used to travel up to one end of the country and back of a weekend, and I'd have people going, "Where did you go the week?" "Oh, I went up to Liverpool." "You went to Liverpool?" They'd be shocked because they live in their little village and never left it. So then you take that, and people have never left their village, never been to the capital city, never left the country, and you have this very insular, very myopic view of things, and you need to expand your views and your horizons if you're going to develop yourself as a person. Definitely.
Clayton. For example, here GP Duarte says in Peru, we have had commentators who, during the games, have talked about food restaurants, TV shows. They scream, cheering, and body shaming players, refs, and coaches. Very sad. I can be more agree with you.
Yeah, I think that's it. But are they doing that? Probably because they don't know what's going on. They don't have the ability to talk about what's going on, and so they're filling. Now, I've done gymnastics. I've done artistic and rhythmic gymnastics, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But technically, I would never admit to knowing what's going on, because it's incredible what they do, and they've and I love the fact, right, that what I really love about it is that when a gymnast performs something that's never been done before, then they get given the name. It becomes them.
Yeah.
And it's something I've tried to kind of bring in with volleyball. I've only managed to do it twice so far. So when Karambula started the skyball, when I saw him do that way back when he first came onto the scene, I was commentating, I started calling him Mr. Skyball. And then when with Laura Ludwig kept putting the ball over on one, as soon as anybody else did that, I was saying, "Oh, they've done the Ludwig." So attributing that particular play to Laura. I know it's been done before to a degree, but never as much, and certainly never as this is an actual strategy for us to play in the way that Laura did it when she was started playing, and is now a staple part of her game, and it's been taken on a lot more by other teams and other players. Right now, Karambula is the only skyball. I'm hoping that we are going to see the next generation of players doing it. The one thing that we saw from Cancun is that no one really knows how to deal with it in the wind, because how do you deal with something that you've never trained against? And do you have coaches who can actually do a skyball to you in the first place? So
right.
certainly to the height that he can do them, how many of them can do that? Now, what I hope to see is now, the next generation of players are going, that's brilliant. We're going to do that, and we might see more skyballs coming in, and might see then. So instead of then calling it the skyball, we might call it the Karambula. Hopefully, and he'll be attributed with it, because he's certainly, he's Mr. Skyball. But once everyone else starts to do that, or it becomes a main, then we can say, "Oh, they're going with the Karambula," or they're going, or they're going with the. And then indoors, we got the Engapeth. So the Engapeth indoors, that one, and what's the other one he does? Where he goes to hit the pipe on the second ball. So that's the Engapeth. So there's two actions attributed to him that when I see other people doing it, I'll call it the Engapeth.
Or maybe the Wallace.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Wallace. Or there was the Sato, the Gary Sato, which is the jump serve on match point.
Eric Sato.
Yeah, Eric Sato. Yeah, to bring up the overpass. And I think I mentioned that in a commentary. It happened. I said, "Oh, he's done a Sato," because it came up off of the jump serve overpass to win the match.
Yeah, so, right.
There are times, and obviously that only appealed to a small minority of people who knew who Sato was and could relate to that. But I think that that transition, that thing, to bring players and they are the stars of the show. to give them personalities, to try and create things, I also think is quite important in a way that, and if we can do that, if I can do that and commentators can do that to help raise the profile of players, then why not?
Or maybe from now on we can name the back set the Checo. You remember?
Yeah, why not?
The last point.
Yeah, incredible.
Parallel to the net.
Yeah, but this is it. So when things like that, so defining moments is you think about, right, and someone does that, and then they can carry on and doing that, then why not? And so going back to the gymnastics and me not knowing the technical elements of it, I don't try to. So I know my job is to bring the athletes and right, here they come, they're ready to do their whatever it is they're going to do. This is what they've scored, this is where they are, this is what they need to get it done. And then right, let's watch the routine. People want to watch the routine. They certainly don't want me waffling all over it anyway. And generally, at the end, I am picking up bits and pieces, and if I see it and I'm 100% sure of what it is, I can mention it. And then it's like, what's the reaction of the players, of the athletes? Are they happy? Are they sad? Is the coach happy? Are they sad? There's things that I'm always, to try and help to tell the story, whether they're happy about it. And now we're going to find out. So they go and sit in the comfy chair and find out what their score is going to be. And so I'm kind of telling the story of what's going on. I am not an expert analyst when it comes to gymnastics. I'm the lead commentator, and I haven't got an expert with me. And there's little value in me trying to be something I can't be. And that's something else that I think is important when you're a world feed commentator, a multi-sport commentator. You can't know the ins and outs of every sport that you do.
How many sports have you worked with?
I think I must be up to about, I don't know, maybe nearly 30, I suppose.
30 different sports.
Yeah, I would say so. Some of the more obscure, I've done choke ball. Have you ever heard of choke ball? So for those of you who are watching, what's he talking about? Choke ball is a really interesting game where it's a bit like netball and handball and volleyball all kind of rolled into one. And you are not allowed to, it's competitive, but in a non-competitive way. Does that make sense? You're not allowed to intercept a pass. So I can't, if I try and throw the ball to you, no one can stop me. And we've only got so many passes we can make, and the court's about the same size as a five-side football court. There are what look like upturned trampettes in the D, and you have to throw the ball from outside the D into the trampette. It's got to come off the trampette or trampoline on its side, come back out of the D, land on the floor. If it does that, you score a point, and and you can score at either end. So that's the game. And I commentated on the World Beach Choke Ball Championships. That was good fun. I did have an expert with me, and poor lad, I did feel sorry for him because he'd never been and done anything like this before. It was on Eurosport, and he was honestly, he was terrified, absolutely terrified. And I had to say to him, "Look, don't worry, I'm just as nervous as you. We'll be fine. We'll get through this."
Hey Clayton, it sounds like a Harry Potter sport.
Yeah. I think it was.
Like Quidditch.
Before Quidditch, yeah, it was choke ball. I think choke ball might have been the origin of Quidditch. It was an incredible sport. I've done that. I've done table tennis, but I also did table tennis at the Olympic Games. And when you go to the Olympics, you have your sports that you're allocated, and then you get put on standby. So if you've only got one sport or one show to do and you might be off for the rest of the day, what they'll do is they'll allocate you so many hours where you hang around in the commentary prep area, and just in case somebody doesn't show up or something happens where you have to step in and commentate. Now, being at the Olympics, you're there, and for me, I would just get up early in the morning regardless, and I'd go to the broadcast center, go to the commentary area, and I just sort of hang around there all day anyway and get ready for my matches and whatever I had to do. And one morning I'd gone in, and I was about 6 hours early for my commentary. And one of the commentators who was on standby was pacing up and down the commentary room, and a guy called Neil Adams, who's the judo guru for the UK, and just a brilliant guy and an amazing judoka. And he was pacing up and down, holding some papers. And I could see him. He was huffing and puffing and shaking his head. And I said, "Are you all right, Neil?" He said, "No, I'm not." I said, "What's that?" He said, "I'm on standby and I've got to do table tennis." I said, "Well, why is that?" He said, "Well, the table tennis guy's got stuck. He's the other side of Rio. He's not going to be here, and I'm doing it." I said, "Well, that's all right. Look, I can help you if you like. I know table tennis. I've done it before." He went, "It's not going to help." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well," I said, "Well, I'll tell you what then. I'll do it for you." Look, I said, "I can do it. I'm not on for 6 hours. I can do the first game. When is it?" He went, 3 minutes. So, okay. But I did it. I said, "Right, give me the papers. Who's playing?" It was England, Great Britain versus China team game. And so I said, "Right, give me, right, I've got the start. I want this, and this. Get that printed off. I'll go in there." I sat down, and I kid you not, with 3 minutes preparation, it's the only time I've ever done this, that I was in that 3 minutes, I quickly wrote an opener, had a look, got the stuff on the computer, and then went in and then did the program. Halfway through the program, the commentator turned up, and they decided that, well, he joined in, and we just did it as a double then till the end. But so you can be called upon in multi-sport events where you perhaps only know, or you're only doing one, you could be called on to do anything. I actually had to stand in, and the Tour de France was going on in Eurosport, and the commentator hadn't turned up. He was stuck in traffic. So they were just putting a banner across, and I was going on every night. "We are sorry for the technical difficulties. The commentator will be with you shortly." So, well, I didn't actually get the commentator, but it's just having to do sort of things like that. Or all of a sudden, at times, particularly working at Eurosport, you do a volleyball, and then you're about to go, and they say, "Oh, do you know what? There's a surfing magazine show just come in. Can you voice that, please?" Okay. So you then, with an hour's notice, have to commentate or voice over a magazine show which had been written by someone in France who spoke limited English. So you had what we called Franglish, this mix of French and English that you'd have to try and put into some form of a semblance to you could commentate it, but you were strictly working from a time code. And that was it. There was no one to tell you anything. You went in, sat down, and you read it live, and that was it. You only got one shot at it, and it went out. So you when you do things like that, you kind of then you can do anything really. I was doing a commentary for Eurosport, and you can hear the director, but you can't talk back to them because they're talking to about 8 or 9 people all over Europe on the same program. So they just say, "Okay, we're going to go to a commercial," and this happened. He said, "Commercial break in 10, 9." So I'm talking 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and we'll be right back after the break. 2, 1, no break, no break. And we're going to stay with it for a little bit longer because it's that exciting. So you just said we're going to go to a commercial break. You're suddenly told on 1, no break, and then you've got to recover from that. And people watching have got no clue. You've just been told something, like they just think you're an idiot. So you've got to then turn that around. And I think when you've been in that situation and you're having to really sort of, you're on your toes the whole time, it makes you a little bit more cautious. It makes you very wary, and you don't go diving in with things that are going on, because, and I know from experience with every commentary I've ever done, the first day, the first program is always going to be an issue. There's always going to be something that doesn't quite go right. There'll be a technical problem here, a hitch there, the running order doesn't work, something. So you just know something's not going to go right. So you're ready and you're waiting for it, and never expect it all to be perfect. And never ever say, "Oh, I'd like to, why didn't we get a replay of that?" You just get what you're given and you work with it. I think that's probably one of the worst things you can do as a commentator. Go, "I hope to see the replay of this." Oh, well, you didn't. Then you're not going to, no one's listening to you. You're just going to just work with what you've got. And just the last thing, go on. I'm talking to you.
No, I mean, you have to develop your skill of improvisation a lot.
Yes. Yeah, you do. You absolutely do. And not to doubt yourself. If you start thinking about what you're going to say and how you're going to try and make it this and that, generally doesn't work. Clive Tildesley, the football commentator, was on television here locally in the UK, not locally, and he was talking about that, about you build up a kind of repertoire of words and things, and you develop your vocabulary, and you try and live the moment and be in the moment and express the moment about what's happening, and not trying to make it contrived. It's, you know, you're outpouring to try and reflect what's going on, and that's, you're always striving to do that, but not trying to make it like it's you've scripted it.
Yeah, right. We have more comments, a lot of comments. Thanks a lot. Fred Barcoe says,
Fred Barco. Fred's
Fred
in Japan.
Barco,
It's
Japan.
Japan. He's so he said when it started, it'd be 4 o'clock in the morning. So it must be
Like,
6:30 in the morning now for him.
no, it's more, it's like 6 or 7 a.m.
Yeah, in the morning.
He says, have you ever made a mistake with names?
Oh, I've called players the wrong name, definitely, or I've completely messed up the pronunciation of it. But then when I've done that, I've gone, oh, that was easy for me to say. Apologies, and then I've said it properly. Yeah, and I've called a player sometimes even on the beach. For example, I was commentating at the Foro Italico at the World Championships in Rome, and I was up at the top of the tennis center in what looked like a little porter cabin. And when you look down, I couldn't read the shirt numbers. I couldn't read anything. I was having to rely on a monitor. Now, unfortunately, my monitor was about that big. And I'm so yeah, I was getting stuff wrong quite a lot with that. But so then what I learned to do was I'm looking for anything at all that I can identify on a player, even on the beach volleyball, because who's got a white cap on, a black cap? Has someone got a red armband? It's just, and it might only be something small, but I need to find it so I got a quick reference so I know exactly red, pink, red. Okay, it's so and so, and because sometimes they are very difficult, can be difficult to pick them out.
Yeah. Fred Barco, so he's in Japan, he's working, he's living there.
Yeah, he's a journalist in Japan and speaks Japanese. And I met Fred at the World Cup because he was doing some live score stuff and then writing articles for the FIVB for volleyball.
Okay, well, hello to good morning to Fred. Japan. Carol Gordon, Maruf, great setter from Iran. Yeah, of course. Anna Mother Shaw says, love you, Clayton and Vanessa.
Mrs. Anna Motorshaw and Kev. Yeah, they volleyballing family. I used to live up in Ness and I and the kids used to live up in Telford, where they're from. We met them and involved with them and Telford Volleyball Club. Really brilliant couple, lovely kids, great friends, and can't wait to see you guys soon.
Well, a very good friend from Mexico, Matias Castro Angulo, says saludos. Hello. Okay, thanks a lot. Clayton, we are in the final minutes of the show. I want to thank you again. I have a few more questions for you. Sure. Which are the player you like the most? He plays, or the player she or he? I know that in your work as a commentator, you have to be partial. You don't have to show some or cheering for some team. But which players did you like the most in the last 30 years?
There are so many. I think, as I said at the beginning of this, I loved watching Fen Kung as a setter. I loved Yoshi Takashita. I thought she was amazing, and I'm so fortunate I've got her autograph on a poster that's hanging on in the hallway, so to be treasured forever. I think those two incredible setters. And then I liked Heather Bang for the USA, and I used to call her Downtown Heather Bang because she used to absolutely hammer the ball.
Who? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Heather Bang played the USA middle blocker, and just loved watching her play. I think now I love Agata and Duda. Agata particularly, she's a really lovely person off the court, always smiling, always happy. I think she's great to watch. I love watching. There's so many players. I mean, just and like Micheletto now coming through for Trentino. The guy's 19, 20, 2'7". He's a little bit gangly, a little bit arms and legs at the moment. He gets his core right. Once he's got his passing right, I don't think there's going to be anybody better than him in the world in that position in the next couple of years. He's going to be just sensational. And just to see that somebody of that size can play like someone who's 1'90" and he's 207. And that's one of the things I like watching about the beach volleyball as well. Like Dalhauser, what a great player, great setter. And Allison, I thought I guess greatest beach player for me was Emmanuel. I was, again, talk about being in the right place at the right time. I was there in Brazil when he retired and he gave a speech, and that was, you know, really, really special moment. But I love watching him play, a player who never handset. Player always dug and put it on in the right place. I thought Engapet, when he started, I loved watching him play. I think everybody, you know, every team I've watched, there's someone I just think, oh yes, there's always somebody. I love Gianelli, and I love Gianelli, Christensen, and Maroof. What those guys can do with the ball is phenomenal. How they can move the ball around. Paolo Igonu in the women's is brilliant. I like watching the middles for that keeper. Rasic was great. You know, just so many. And Karakurt, is it the opposite for Turkey, who came out of nowhere and suddenly is this, you know, she was just, and again, another one, all arms and legs, real fire, real spirit about her, playing at Vakif Bank. I think she's gone to Exacerbashi now, and she's going to be a big player for Turkey in the opposite slot. I could go on, really. There's always, in terms of playing against, I played against Bas van der Goor for
the Flying Dutchman.
The Flying Dutchman. That was the scariest thing ever. I never forget. So we did, as Great Britain, we did a tour of the Netherlands. And so all these guys were still playing in, I think he'd come back from Italy, or hadn't gone to Italy yet, I'm not sure. But he was playing for a local team. Avital Selinger was playing in a team. We went around and played against these guys. So we're in the warm-up, and so Bas van der Goor goes up to hit a ball, and his shirt number's here, and he's gone up. So the net's to the bottom of the screen here, right? And he's gone up, 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 and then he's about here, and then he hit the ball, and he hit it, and I looked at my grubber. I looked at him, and he looked at me, and just went, "Oh my god,
who's gonna block this guy?"
Exactly. We're like, oh, it's just like, oh,
and who's gonna defend this guy?
Well, I got hit quite a lot, actually. We had a 7-foot blocker, but he still couldn't get anywhere near him. And then we played against Avital Selinger, Harry's son. He did me in. I'm not kidding you. I got done over with an underarm serve of sorts. Not, but he got the ball and he went, and it just went, and it left me on. And I was like, oh, I don't believe it. I'm there, sprawled out on the floor, and just, I can't believe I got done by a bloody underarm serve. But that was before we had liberos, and the volleyball was still white. I'm not making excuses. It was a ridiculously good serve. But yeah, so just to play against some of these guys is incredible. But to see these guys now and think next level, to, you know, it'd be terrifying to be on a court against someone like Matt Anderson or Lucas. I think. See, there's another player, right? Lucas, I know we're getting to it, but Lucas Satkamp for Brazil, another player that you would never, you know, he's not elegant to watch. He's really clunky. But he works with Bruno, and the ball's on a string for him, and he can jump so high, he can just hit it anywhere. And I'm telling you now, and he's the only player I've ever seen in the indoor game for the men go on a slide behind for Brazil. Which the women do all the time, but him and Bruno were practicing it. Were doing it a couple of years ago.
Right, amazing. And which, besides the gold medal match in London 2012, which other match do you remember very well? It was very significant for you.
It would be the 2015 Beach Volleyball World Championship final in The Hague between Brazil and the Netherlands. Christian Varenhorst and Reindeer Numador against Alison Cerruti and Bruno Oskar Schmidt. It was 1-1. It went to the deciding set to 15, and I think it went 23-21. It may have even gone past that. It was on a specially built court on a pontoon in front of the Parliament building on a lake in The Hague. It was 5,000 plus people packed in. It was bonkers, and it was the most incredible game I think I've ever commentated. From the moment it got to 14-all, perhaps even a bit before that, I was stood up commentating the whole time. It was unbelievable. I've never ever forget that game. In terms of that, one of my favorite games from beach volleyball.
Oh, amazing! Thanks for sharing. What about Tokyo? Can you mention some? Which teams do you think could get the podium? With your analysis, what do you think?
Well, I think I got on the fence early, didn't I, when I said about the beach volleyball and that anyone can come up and win. But I would go back and say that I think that, I wouldn't be surprised that Norway should make a podium. I think Qatar have got a real chance of doing that. And then there's a whole bunch of others that could do it. There's no reason why, while Italy couldn't get there again, really. They've had a bit of a run out. But looking at consistency and form of the teams, I think if Allison can stay off Alvaro's back and not keep going on to him, I'm seeing a lot of bickering from Allison to Alvaro. I could be misinterpreting that completely, but it does look to me like Allison's getting either upset with himself or with Alvaro. If they can keep their rhythm right, they've got a good chance. So, I mean, Pedro is jump serving. He can knock players over. So there's anything could from there potentially, but I wouldn't be surprised if Norway do it. I'm going to put Qatar in for a medal for the men. In the women's, I think that Alex and April should do well if they can just forget the pressure and get on with it. I like Taliqua and
Very nice team, the Aussie team, very nice team.
Yes, and again, but Pavan and Melissa Humana Paredes, we've seen them do well. I think that those three teams have all got a great chance of taking medals, and anyone else again, but they're the standout ones for me. Indoors, I know for a fact that Italy are resting a lot of their star players for the VNL because they've been really busy in the Champions League with their COVID bubbles. So they are really shows they're focused on the Olympics. I mean, the fact that they're having the VNL in Italy, but they're not having their star players certainly at the beginning of the tournament says that they're focused for that. And you've got to feel that for the likes of Juan Serena and Zaitsev, it's their last shot at trying to do it. And there'll be quite a few retirees from this Olympic Games across many of the teams. Bruno, Lucas, Zaitsev,
Wallace,
Serena, Wallace.
Matt Anderson. I think it's
exactly. There's a generation of players now coming to the end of their Olympic careers.
Max Hall from the United States is the last shot, of course.
Exactly. There's plenty of Brazilian female players who are coming along. I know obviously Natalia's injured. She's not going to the VNL because she's broken her fingers. She had operation. I really don't. I'm going to get a better feel once I've seen this VNL and see what's out there, see what's going on, and particularly seeing the USA have got some youngsters in. Whether they'll make the cut to the Olympics or whether the likes of Jordan Larson will go again. And go will be interesting to see what Karch has got is made up already, his mind of who he's going to take. But they've got some very exciting setters without a doubt that can really unlock a lot of defenses. So the USA, I think, are strong for a medal at the Olympics. Japan, no, even though it's on home soil, I don't think they won't do anything like they did in 2012. Brazil potentially, but then we got to look at Serbia, men and women really. I think very strong, and who knows? France in the men, if they have their moment, that could be their moment. It's so close. I mean, it's such fine margins at that level.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch it really, and just be as excited and as in awe as everybody else.
Yeah, well, France. Remember that Bernardinho will take the bench after Olympics.
exactly. He was funny. I used to like watching Bernardino because he would get so angry. I don't know if he'd have his earpiece in, when he'd have his earpiece in coming out, and then he would just be like, biting them. And I did say, God, I hope he's got spares of those, because he gets through them like nobody's business. He would go ballistic. And I thought that, you know, when you get to that point as a coach, if you're that angry and that upset, should you be coaching? Because how is that helping anybody? It certainly wasn't helping him, mental health and physical health. So maybe now he's had that little step back and he's coming into it again. Maybe that would be another resurgence. It could be really, really exciting for France.
Yeah. The last question, my dear Clayton, thanks a lot. It's late for you. It's 11 p.m. almost.
Oh, it's 20. It's 11:15. We've talked long. It's gone quick. Well, it's gone quick for you and me, or it's gone quick for me. I'm not sure it's gone quick for anyone else.
Almost 3 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
amazing.
thought it'd be an hour and that'd be it.
Have you been in Mexico, right? You told me in Vallarta. I mean,
yes, I went to Vallarta and where else have I been? Oh, only to just a quick dip in and out from the United States. That was all.
Well,
but so yeah, just for beach volleyball. I haven't been there for a holiday.
Okay. Which real Mexican food do you like the most?
As in tortillas and tostadas and quesadillas.
Wow.
Yeah, all of those.
Oh, very good choices.
We have quite a lot of that at home, actually. We're plant-based here now at home, and so always having that kind of food, and yeah, I love it. And I love chili. I've always loved a chili, and I've now managed to have I love the meat chili, but I'm quite happy make just as good a chili without meat in it. So yeah, that's chili and chips has always been my favorite food, actually.
What about your relationship with tequila?
Oh yeah, I have a very, very bad relationship with tequila. I must admit, we were once sponsored on the tour here in the UK by Jose Cuervo, and if you won a bottle of tequila. My wife, we had about 20 bottles of tequila. My wife was with Denise, won just about every time at Weymouth when it was there, and so yes, plenty of bottles. I can drink it, but then it comes straight back out. Yeah, I'm not very good, I'm afraid.
Me too. I didn't have a very good relationship with tequila either. Clayton, are you leaving for Rimini, Italy in the next few days? It's going to be a bubble, a whole month. What do you think we can expect for this year, Nations League?
I think the Nations League is going to be as exciting as ever. I think there's a lot of players who are itching to get back playing. They've been, and representing their country again. It's been a while for quite a few of them. We're going to see some new faces. We're going to see, and also we're going to see for those teams that have brought their squads of 18 plus, that there's going to be a massive amount of competition for the 12 for those countries that are going to the Olympics, and it's the majority. I think there's only a couple of teams in the women and a couple of teams in the men who aren't going to the Olympics. Yeah. I think Germany in the men, Kenya in the women, maybe, or I'm not. Don't quote me on that. But even for the likes of Germany, they just missed out to France to go. So they want to win a lot of matches. They want to show that they are as good as, if not better than. So I think the competition is going to be really, really good, really exciting. Yes, I am going in a week's time, and the bubble starts the minute we get to the airport. We're being taken by car. As I understand it, it is just hotel, venue, hotel. No going outside the hotel. No going outside the venue. No going to shops or anything like that. Keeping in a very strict bubble. Will be tested regularly. I'm having my test before I go. I'm having my second vaccination, as it happens, before I go, and because I couldn't have it because I'd be away when I was due to have it. And yeah, I think having been to the European Handball Championships in Denmark before Christmas in 2020 it was, yeah. Then, you know, I've been through that, the COVID protocols. If they get them right, it'll be absolutely fine. We had no issues at all. The only issues we had was with in the outside broadcast truck, which was you are sandwiched in, and they didn't have any the strict enough protocols, and a couple of people got symptoms for COVID, but players and everybody else, and it was fine, well organized, and it was well maintained. If the FIVB can do the same and manage it, it's on a bigger scale, but there's no reason why they can't. I'm hoping it will be a brilliant, successful tournament, and then I can look forward to, hopefully, if it all goes ahead, to going there. And I've been given my accreditation already. I can give you a sneak peek at what accreditation looks like for the game. So that's the zones I can go into, 4 and 5, and those are the venues I can go into. The IBC, which is the International Broadcast Centre, the main production control, and then those are the 3 venues I can go to. So that's what my accreditation allows me to do. Although I would imagine that this time around, they will not allow anyone into the venues, even if I've got that accreditation. I imagine it will just be the first 2 into the IBC, and that's it. And if you, my other 2 accreditations, I've put up on the wall. I've actually framed, well, my wife framed them. So
right.
this will join them in due course. I can show you very
Yeah,
quickly.
please.
We're going to go. So I've got all my lanyards. All my lanyards are up on the wall. I've got over 100 of them, but these are the ones that I've
London.
So that's London 2012. As a rather younger me, pass and some a couple of tickets to the, what was that for? That was for the a couple of the events, and then that was from Rio. Yeah. So yeah.
Amazing. Congratulations, my friend.
Oh, thank you. It's nice, really, to, you know, they bring back things like this, can bring back a lot of memories, I think, and so it's nice to have them on the wall, just as a little reminder. So, you know, I feel very privileged to go, and I'm delighted to be going, and I can't, and hopefully it will go ahead, and it'll be fine, and the world will get back to some form of normality. We are beginning to see that slowly, aren't we? I think we just got to carry on and do what we need to do, and just if there's a little bit of inconvenience, we just have to get through it so we can get back to not being inconvenienced.
Yeah. Well, I have already purchased my ticket for watching the whole Nations League here in Mexico, and I'll be watching you and hearing you.
Well, and I will make sure that I get in hashtag Volley Talks. Okay, that will definitely appear. So I'll give you a couple of plugs. All right, and hopefully I won't get into trouble, because you know, it's you, Alejandro, and it's fine. So you'll be all right.
Oh, thanks a lot. Well, it has been a pleasure, a real pleasure, Clayton. I want to thank you again a lot for this amazing, funny talk with you. I'm pretty sure that we can talk of volleyball for a long hour, but it's late there in England. So I want to thank you again, Clayton, for being here. Do you want to say some final words for the people who are watching?
Thank you all, for those of you who are watching and have stuck through to the end. Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope for those of you that I know, and you know me, we can all get to see each other again very, very soon. And if you can't, and then, well, we'll see you somewhere in the world at some point. And hopefully you'll enjoy the Volleyball Nations League coming up. A month of volleyball, 2 games a day. I've got 2 games a day every day, the best part of a month. So I'm going to be busy, but hopefully it'll be enjoyable, and we'll all see some fantastic volleyball. Thank you, Alejandro, for having me on here. It's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. I probably have talked too much, so apologies for that. And I hope you have fun with all your other guests. I can't wait to listen to you and watch you with Luis, hopefully with Denise and whoever else, even Carol. Got to tell Carol Gordon as well. You need to get on. And Jippy, you know, you've got a whole bunch of extras. You know, you can keep going. You'll keep going forever and ever. But brilliant. Thank you ever so much. Thank you all for watching, and see you all somewhere soon. And you'll all be able to hear me sometime soon.
Oh yeah, I hope to see you pretty soon in a volleyball stage. I really love that. Just remember, tomorrow I have Jose Maria Padron from Spain here in the show. Next week, on Tuesday here in Mexico, I will have Lucas Lave, the Slovenian, who is assistant coach for Karch for USA volleyball team. Next Friday, I will have in 2 p.m. here in Mexico, and for you 10 p.m. The legend, American legend, Karen Kepner, three-time Olympian, Olympic medalist in Barcelona '82. And Luis Bello next Friday, 4 p.m. here in Mexico City, 10 for you.
Brilliant. Can't wait. That's going to be amazing.
And also on Saturday, 22nd at 1 p.m. here in Mexico, 7 p.m. in England, my friend Jiri Popelka, next president of the SEC Volleyball Federation.
Fantastic. You'll get. You see, I'm just a footnote in all this. You're getting all the. I'm just a bit of filler because you're getting all the big names in before and after. So well done. Good job.
No, you are a big name also. I'm very thankful that you accepted the invitation to be here, Clayton.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Thank you ever so much.
Okay, hope to see you again pretty soon.
And me. Take care.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.